Chris, it's the 101st homecoming game here in Ann Arbor. It would appear as if everyone who's ever attended Michigan will be here for the game. Better than 110,000 fans expected on hand as 12th-ranked Michigan hosts number 16 Purdue. The Big House can be intimidating for opponents. Purdue redshirt freshman quarterback Brandon Hance fresh off the bus, but he's got that Southern California cool, not wide-eyed at all. By far, the biggest game in the Big Ten so far, and when this regular season is over, they still might be thought of as the biggest game of the Big Ten season. Hi, everybody, and good afternoon from Ann Arbor. Steve Levy alongside Todd Christensen. Purdue has lost 14 games in a row here, 6 of them by shutout. They haven't won here in 35 years, but if they're to break the streak today, it'll be because of their defense.
It's all well and good that Brandon Hance has some swagger, but it is 10 of 11 returning starters on defense that'll have to do the job for Purdue. Last year, they're the ones that got them to the Rose Bowl. This year, they're going to have to do it again, led by the very animated Aiken Adele. You can see their third down defense is the best in the Big Ten. They will need that today. Last week against Iowa, a tremendous 11 3-and-outs. They need that today against the very potent offense of the Wolverines.
Speaking of offense for Purdue, quite often for the Boilermakers, we'll see 5 wide receivers on the field at one time. But the best receiver in today's game, he plays for Michigan.
Marquise Walker, number 4 for Michigan, is outstanding. 6'3", 213 pounds. You see his career numbers this season: 36 catches, more than almost 3 times as many as anybody else on the Michigan squad. His acrobatics and great athletic ability has helped to ease the pain of David Terrell leaving early for the NFL.
As for the Michigan defense, all they did last week was hand Joe Paterno his first ever shutout loss in Happy Valley. Todd and I will have the opening kickoff in a matter of moments, but first, this very important announcement.
Stay tuned for more College Game Day with Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore right after these messages on ESPN.
Getting ready for Purdue and Michigan. There's Marquise Walker leading the Big Ten in receptions. He had 15 catches against Washington for 159 yards. That Michigan's one loss of the year. Hi, everybody. Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore. That was a nice little introduction there. That was nice of Steve to set that up for us.
Nice.
That was their one loss of the year, but Michigan dominated that game. They could be unbeaten very easily right now.
Yeah, they really could. They're a really good football team. But, you know, you heard Todd and Steve talk about the Purdue defense, and they're right. Keep your eye on Stuart Schweigert, the free safety. I expect him to really kind of double Marquise Walker, trying to slow down that Michigan passing game.
Rodney and I will be with you the whole afternoon, giving you the best in college football and the latest. We'll be back right after this game, 3 Eastern Time, College Game Day scoreboard show. Then at 4 Eastern Time, Grade 1 stakes race, the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge, $500,000 race from Lexington, Kentucky. And then at 5 Eastern Time, the Invensys Classic. Craig Parry is the leader, 1-stroke lead in the 4th round. It's a 5-round event, so 4th round coverage. The Invensys Classic PGA Tour Golf. Then 7 Eastern Time, Rodney and I are getting you ready for the mighty Gators once again, taking on Auburn. They've crushed teams over the last few weeks, actually the whole season. And that's followed by SportsCenter, 10:45 Eastern Time, right after the Gators and the Tigers are all done. And then midnight Eastern Time, Reese Davis, Rodney Gilmore, Mark May, and Dino Cook will follow up on what we're looking at all during the day. We start off on our game day tracks with, of course, Florida State and Miami. Ken Dorsey, well, looking to make it come down to a field goal. Wide right 3. Would it be 4 in the Big Ten? Last time Northwestern and Minnesota met, Wildcats had a stunning comeback with last-second miracle, leading the Gophers shocked and stunned. It's happened so far to them this year already. And last time Ole Miss beat the Tide at Mississippi, 1976. Before that, you have to go back to Archie Manning. Today, Eli Manning tries to do what's been done only once since his father left. That's beat Alabama at home. Other games we're watching in the early afternoon, and we'll have cut-ins throughout Purdue and Michigan. Rodney, you got Texas trying to bounce back against the Cowboys.
Yeah, very physical game for Texas last week. Will Chris Sims bounce back? Will the running game show up? How about that Clemson, North Carolina State? I call that an elimination game in the ACC.
When we come back, the first half ready to go. Brandon Hance and Purdue ready to take it to Michigan in Ann Arbor. Purdue and Michigan the first half. Steve Levy and Todd Christensen will have the first half when we come back.
In a league where familiarity breeds unblemished records for a choice few, today it is the unlikely Purdue Boilermakers who are the only team chugging along without a loss. Not with their trademark offense, basketball on grass, but with a defense disruptive and fast. Will their streak continue? We urge you to step on into the Big House as the top two of the Big Ten, the staple on the menu. The Big House filling up with security precautions outside. You might see still some empty seats. Long, long lines to get into Michigan Stadium as we welcome you inside. This is a live look, better than 110,000 people expected on hand. Game time temperature is 63 degrees under cloudy skies, low visibility. The wind's blowing some 10 to 15 miles per hour. And Purdue comes in with the #2 defense in the Big Ten. More surprising, Todd, is that the wild Purdue offense that we think of from a season ago is dead last in the Big Ten.
A lot of statistics offensively are not going where they should be, but the one thing that Brandon Hance, the redshirt freshman quarterback, has been able to do in the first 4 games is he makes plays at key junctures. And as Joe Tiller pointed out to us, I'd much rather be 4-0 and winning ugly than 2-2 and 1-3 and doing things artistic. And clearly you can see by that record, he has done things extremely well there in West Lafayette.
Lloyd Carr, the head coach of Michigan, in his 7th season. He is 6-0 in homecoming games. We asked him his preferred homecoming opponent. He said John Glenn High School, but that was not an option today. It will be the 16th ranked Purdue Boilermakers against number 12 Michigan. And the Wolverines have won the toss and deferred, so Purdue will receive. As you look at the series history again, they have not won here, Purdue, since 1966. It's a span of 14 games. 6 of the 14 games they've been shut out in. Hayden Epstein will kick it away for Michigan. Joey Harris and Dante Farrell are back deep for Purdue. And we are underway. Number 12 against number 16 in the nation. And it'll be taken for a touchback, and Purdue will open 1st and 10 from their own 20, down to the field, and our colleague Dave Ryan.
All right, Steve, great atmosphere in the field here at Michigan Stadium. Brandon Hance for Purdue, a perfect 4-0 as a starter so far, but his biggest challenge comes here at the Big House today, no question about it. Now, you might think he'd be intimidated. As we saw Steve at the top of the broadcast when he left the bus, didn't look like he was bothered much by the Big House at Michigan Stadium. I talked to him during Purdue warm-ups. He said he's been here before, a couple years ago on a recruiting visit. Of course, the stadium was much more empty at that time, but he's not bothered one bit by the Big House.
All right, Dave, he comes in at number 3 total offense in the Big Ten. And here in the Big House on 1st and 10. Hance will take off to the right side, trying to make one man miss and barely can, out to the 24-yard line, a gain of 4. Our Best Buy starting lineups and some of the skill people for Purdue. They'll use 3 tailbacks, Montrell Lowe, Cedric Brown, and Joey Harris. Lowe is the starter. The running game really struggled a week ago, so bad, in fact, that Hance was the leading rusher.
Tim Stratton, number 89, the tight end, is going to have a big game. He did not start particularly well against Iowa last week. He's going to have to help them move the sticks.
Opening a 3-receiver set now on 2nd down and 6, and as they set Chris Randolph in motion, we get a whistle and a flag.
Steve, one of the things that's been interesting here the first 2 series.
Prior to the snap, ball start offense. 5 yards, 2nd down.
You said at the open, talking about their 5 wide receivers, they started a 3 tight end set, Steve.
The offensive line for Purdue as we continue with our Best Buy starting lineups. Kelly Butler, the right tackle, will be a guy to watch. He is a Michigan native, and he's got to be fired up about this game.
Defensive line, look for Sean Lazarus and Norman Hoyer to push up front to force Purdue to be one-dimensional in the passing game.
After the flag, 2nd down and 11. Hance firing and was looking for Stratton, who was slammed as the ball passed him by. It'll go incomplete. 3rd down and 11. Upcoming.
Eric Bracken's the captain, is the one who makes that tackle, and you can see him there on the outside. But it's Hobson and Foote, the great tacklers. Whether or not they're going to be negated by the 5 wide receiver sets of Purdue remains to be seen. And in the secondary, take a look at the corners. Howard and LeSueur. They will be pressured all day by the numerous wideouts for the Boilermakers.
So here we go. First big play of the game. 3rd and 11. Ball from the 19. Hands from the shotgun. Got good protection. Steps up. Now under pressure. Scrambling and throwing underneath and completing. Able to hit Tim Standiford. He's at the 50. There is a flag down. And he's down at the 30-yard line. Hooking up with Tim Standiford, but again, there's a flag down.
The flag that you see is they're going to call the clip, and I got to tell you something. I'm not so sure about that. I thought Morales had his head on the front. It is going to be a first down for Purdue downfield, but I'm not sure they shouldn't let this one go. First of all, let's take a look at Hance. It's a great athletic play as he's running to his left and throws across to his right. He scrambles, tries to buy time. Things break down in the secondary. It's tough to cover when you have this much time. Take a look at this flick to Standiford. Great job. Now watch to the right of your screen. Watch Morales. Does he get his head in front? You can't quite tell there. Standiford does the best that he can as we get a chance to take another look at it. Watch to the left of your screen as Standiford comes. Now take a look at the block. Right to the left of your screen as you slow it down. Oh, he did. You know what? That was a pretty decent call by the official. The side judge didn't see it, but the back judge saw that his head was not in front. I wasn't so sure from my angle, but give credit to the back judge for that call. Standiford with his 10th catch of the season, Steve. He was the young man that they thought was going to break all the records. Starting as a true freshman last year, he had really put together some big numbers, but thus far he has been unable to get on track. It really had to depend upon Stubblefield. Another red shirt like the quarterback Hance.
That goes for a 25-yard gain, the 10-yard penalty. They flip it back to Joey Harris. He's their big play speed tailback, although he didn't show it there. Woodrow Dantzler on the board early this afternoon. Let's send it back to Brian.
Yeah, Steve, didn't take long. Clemson and North Carolina State, and here's Woody Dantzler. Remember, he had 164 yards rushing against Georgia Tech last time out, 250 yards passing, and here 55 yards, kept it himself all the way in, right away. 7-0 Clemson, Steve.
You know, one of the things that you were inundated sometime by the pro game, Steve, is that the guy's not necessarily a traditional drop-back kind of guy. I really like Dantzler as a Heisman candidate.
Here's Hance rolling to his right under pressure and throwing it away. And that'll bring up a 3rd down and long again, something Purdue really wanted to stay at. And no college football team wants to be in 3rd and long.
The best team in the nation on 3rd down conversion last year on their way to the Rose Bowl was Purdue. But the reason for that was because of the fact that they had a tremendous offensive line. 4 of the 5 last year are now in the NFL. They have a brand new offensive line, and I think that's one of the reasons why, Steve, they've been coming up 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 as we see the experience on both sides. The O-line starters, both Purdue and Michigan, have struggled up front.
Second straight time they find themselves in a 3rd down and 11. Put Standiford in motion near side. Here's Hance. Hance airing it out and completing, and again it's to Standiford. He's across midfield to the 45, and this time there is no flag. John Shaw bumped him out of bounds.
We talked about Standiford, 187-pounder, but this play really is made by Hance. He gets the ball over the top of the linebackers and into the seam. Take a look at this throw, and it's able to get over the top. Here's the throw. Takes a little pressure from the back. Good protection on that instance by the people up front. As you look at Standiford's numbers, tremendous average per catch, but those receptions, there need to be more.
Flags fly before they get the snap away. Standiford did not have a single catch 1 week ago in the win over Iowa. Already today he's got 2 grabs for 48 yards.
Prior to the snap, ball start offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Todd, something else that is interesting, that's already Purdue's 2nd penalty of the day today. Last year in the win at home against Michigan, they committed just 2 penalties the entire game.
And one of the problems here, obviously, is we talk about the youth, not necessarily youth, but inexperience of the people up front as well as the quarterback.
On 1st and 15, they pitch to the right side of Montrell Lowe. And it's early, but like a week ago, the running game not working. Eric Bracken's the stop for Michigan.
Well, let's not forget that this is the 3rd leading rush defense in the nation. Only, I believe, it's Virginia Tech and one other team that escapes me right now that's ahead of them. But here's the issue with Michigan, and that is that clearly Purdue is going to have to establish something in the pass first. Because with, again, not to be redundant, with the inexperience up front, they're going to have to get the ball downfield.
Loss of 2 on the play, a 2nd and 12.
Tennessee was the other team, Steve, along with Virginia Tech, who's ahead of Michigan in the rush defense.
Here's 2nd down and 17. Hance stepping up and throwing, and that time it was dropped a little behind Standiford, but it was in his hands. Todd Howard had the coverage.
There's the defensive rankings rushing that we noticed, and of course Howard proves to himself that they do pretty well against the pass as well. But again, Steve, I think that's one of those situations that's a little bit catchable. One of the concerns that Joe Tiller has for his receiving corps, they're not terribly physical. And so when they start to mesh up with people, they're not the kind that can make plays on jump balls and that sort of thing. They need to get separation, which Stanford didn't have.
Hey, how long can Purdue do this? 2 3rd and 11s. Here's 3rd and 17. They've gotten away with it so far. 2 for 2 on 3rd down conversion. Hands across the middle, and he's got another 1st down. It's Taylor Stubblefield, and he's inside the 30. Purdue playing with fire, but getting away with it for now.
The answer to your question, Steve, is 3 straight times. How about that? They come with the corner blitz. They pick it up. Stubblefield is man for man. And I'm telling you something, it's interesting. In your redshirt year, you forge relationships with people. I genuinely think that Hance and Stubblefield have that kind of unsaid relationship. Stubblefield, look at that. As soon as he turns back, there's the ball. Able to escape June Cato, who had to come up, Cato June rather, who had to come up in coverage. Stubblefield able to get some yak, i.e. yards after the catch.
You know, Hance really looks intimidated playing here at the big house, doesn't he? As he fakes the handoff and takes off. And he's just out to the 25-yard line. Shanty Orr brought him down. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, back to Brian Kenny.
Steve at Northwestern taking on Minnesota in the rain and fog there. And here, Minnesota driving. Assad Abdul Khalik in the air and picked off. You can see that through the fog. Marvin Brown stopped that, so still no score in that game. It's early.
All right, Brian, thank you. Of course, any mention of Minnesota, you have to think of Purdue's win over them. They were trailing by 9 with 8 minutes left. Comeback win at Minnesota. Joe Tiller called the most exciting of his tenure. Here's 2nd down and 7. Handoff, Montrell Lowe. Eric Brackens brought him down. Brackens is 3rd tackle already.
See, what I was alluding to earlier with regards to Stubblefield and Hance is that in the redshirt year, when you're not actually in the games, you spend so much time on the practice field, and you're always creating things for everybody else, you know, for the first defense. And I genuinely believe that last year, Hance and Stubblefield, both in their redshirt year, were able to forge a unique relationship because up to this point, there really was no reason for Stubblefield to be a go-to guy, but he's the leading receiver for Purdue, and by a pretty large margin.
They've had 25, 23, and 22-yard completions on 3rd down. Here's Lowe throwing it, and it is incomplete, but there is a flag. Montrell Lowe, the running back, was looking for Seth Morales. Marlon Jackson was with him, and we'll sort out the penalty marker.
I was thinking to myself that this is, if it's interference, this is really going to be foolish. And I say that while holding. And the reason for that is I don't think anybody at home didn't know this wasn't a halfback pass. Take a look at Montrell Lowe and take a look at the route that he takes once he gets the ball. Instead of cutting upfield, he's going to be coming just like this. You'll see the hold down here. But right there, you got to know that's a throw. Right there. You've got to know. And right there, the coverage is pretty decent. But as soon as he extends himself, they saw him grab the jersey, and the result is a 1st down for Purdue. Really needless here. Really needless on the part of Marlon Jackson. But again, Marlon Jackson coming into the game as a reserve. Maybe it was a little bit cold. Who knows?
Holding, defense. 10 yards, previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
Michigan should have seen Lowe throw the football on tape. Lowe became just the 5th non-quarterback to throw a touchdown pass under Joe Tiller. He threw a 31-yard touchdown pass to the quarterback, Brandon Hance, in that wild Minnesota comeback. Of course, the reaction from Lloyd Carr to the penalty.
Lloyd Carr is livid, and I'm not so sure it's as much as the officials it is at Jackson, because Jackson had him in coverage. It's not as if he got fooled and had to pull him down. He just extended his hand a little bit. Big break for the Boilermakers.
1st down and 10 from the Michigan 12. Fumbled snap. Hance picks it up and throws, and it is caught. Touchdown. touchdown! Tim Stratton in heavy traffic, and Purdue leads. What an opening drive!
Hey, I got to tell you that this throw is one of those deals where it's like that three-point shot when you don't want your guy to shoot. You go, don't shoot, don't shoot. No, don't throw the, hey, great throw, great throw. He threw that in a sea of blue shirts. Watch the left of your screen. He bobbles it, can't get it, throws across his body, does everything you're not supposed to do, gets knocked down by Hobson, and what happens? The man Stratton, who struggled so mightily last week against Iowa, comes up with a huge catch.
And Travis Dorsch, the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week, puts the extra point through. What a start for Hance and Purdue.
Well, clearly Brandon Hance is he's really having a problem here in the big house. He's really scared. Took him all the way downfield. Number 59 gets up for the initial touchdown.
Back in Ann Arbor after Tim Stratton on the receiving end of the touchdown from Brandon Hance from 12 yards away. The first touchdown allowed by Michigan in the first quarter this season. And Dorsch will put it in the air. And Michigan will look to get some field position with Marlon Jackson from his 5. Jackson out to the 21-yard line, and that's where the Wolverines will start. But first, here's Brian Kenny, SportsCenter in game.
Steve, Todd was just talking about new brand of quarterback here, not the traditional type. That's Woodrow Dantzler, and with this run, he becomes the first ACC quarterback ever to go over 2,000 yards rushing and have over 4,000 yards passing. Clemson leads NC State. It is 7-0 in the first quarter. Guys?
All right, Brian, thanks. Brian will keep us posted throughout the afternoon and tonight, SportsCenter in game. John Navarre handing off to B.J. Askew. And for more on the quarterback of the Wolverines, here's Dave Ryan.
All right, Steve, it's 6'6", almost 240 pounds. He's the largest quarterback that Lloyd Carr has ever had here in Ann Arbor. Presents a lot of advantages for this Michigan offense. He's able to see over the defensive line at 6'6". He's 3 inches taller than the tallest Purdue defender. He can see his receivers en route very well. Also, guys, his coaches call him an oak tree back there. Tough to bring down. Purdue coaches say, let's tackle him high. He'll step out of ankle tackles because he's so strong.
Second down and 8. Looked like the Boilermakers got back on side there. It's Askew again. Askew leads part of the Best Buy starting lineups for the backs and receivers for Michigan. Of course, Marquise Walker, the big-name star. But Ronald Bellamy, look for him. He's healthy now. He's at full speed. He's got a touchdown pass caught in each of the first 2 conference games this season.
Look for Bill Seymour to be kind of an issue, and I'm not just saying that as a former tight end. I think they're going to have to go to people that he normally don't go to, and Seymour could be a key man in this game.
Here's Navarre. He's got plenty of time. Now steps up and throws. And he's clearly throwing that away.
He got
a 3rd and long.
He got whacked by Sean Phillips. Steve, that's 3 and out, and that's not what Michigan needed to do in their first series. And Brock Spack is very animated. He likes what he sees from his Purdue Boilermakers, who clearly are not intimidated by the 110,000 that are here today.
So on the 4th down, Hayden Epstein, who is the place kicker and the punter for Michigan, the same way Travis Dorsch is for Purdue. Epstein is at his 10-yard line. Seth Morales is back deep at his 35. And here's Epstein. High, spiraling punt is a good one. And Morales from his 31-yard line. And he bumped out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Tim Stratton and the Purdue offense will take the field with a 7-0 lead. You alluded to his rocky start a week ago.
Well, remember, this is the young man who won the initial Mackey Award as the top tight end of the nation for the 2000. This is the first play of the game last week against Iowa. He fumbles, gives Iowa the ball, and very unlike Stratton, who does a great job finding the seam in the zone, but then drops another pass that would have had them convert on 3rd down. Today, however, is a different story. Watch number 89 go up for this ball, throwing across his body, things you're not supposed to do. But sometimes you got to do things like that to make the catch. Able to take the hit from Charles Drake and hang on. That's what a 265-pound tight end is supposed to do.
There's the Stratton now with the touchdown grab today, has a catch in 34 consecutive games. Jim Chaney is the offensive coordinator for Purdue. He also coaches tight ends, and he said of Stratton that was the worst game Stratton's had in his career in the passing game. And he said it was the worst part about it is Stratton, the senior, was like a freshman because he carried the bad play, another bad play, before finally getting himself out of the funk.
Well, and speaking of bad plays, Michigan is going to have to punt again, and unless Epstein gets a howitzer off, it's going to be great field position for Purdue. And
a great punch by Epstein, and Morales from the 30. Running to the far side, trying to run away from some people. Turns the corner, and it'll be bumped out. But Purdue will start at the 43-yard line. Good field position as we send it back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, Todd, let's take you around the Big Ten now. Let's get you to Michigan State and Iowa. T.J. Duckett getting the pitch. Duckett is into the end zone, so Spartans are on the board at 7-0 over Iowa. Damian Anderson went in for Northwestern. Now Northwestern leading Minnesota. That's also in the first quarter. Steve, Todd?
All right, Brian, thank you. It's also a homecoming over at East Lansing. As you look at the action around the Big Ten today, good game for Penn State. Good look on their schedule. The open week today for the struggling Nittany Lions. That was a 53-yard punt, by the way, from Epstein. And again, flags on the play. Let's find out what it's about.
Fire the snap. Ball start offense. 5 yards. First down.
Down to Dave.
Steve talking again about tight end Tim Stratton. It was obvious before the game today there would not be carryover from his drops and fumble last week against Iowa. Check him out. He's actually playing catch with some fans. He told me before the game he started about 2 years ago just to get himself relaxed and to get the fans out. He looks for little kids to throw to if possible. And Todd, the reason he does it, he didn't want to practice his long snaps.
Well, some of us had the long snap anyway, Dave, regardless of whether or not we skipped practice.
The amazing part about that is they actually threw the football back to Stratton. The fans in the stands. That pass from Hance is incomplete. Looking for Taylor Stubblefield.
And one of the things that Purdue can't continue to get away with, Steve, is the penalties. Now their fourth penalty so early in the game. They're able to get away with it on the first drive, but in truth, you know, they're playing with knives, so to speak, and they continue to come up third and very long. Already 25 yards, you can see that number. That's something that Joe Tiller would certainly like to rectify.
Still over 8 minutes to play this first quarter. After the yellow hanky, second down and 15. They fake the handoff to Lowe, and it's Hance, the ball carrier. Eric Brackens makes the stop. In the big game this afternoon, down south, let's get it from Brian Kenny.
Steve, here's Florida State punter Chance Gwaltney back to punt. Ed Reed is coming in from Miami. Look out! Snuffed it out. Hurricanes touchdown. Marquise Fitzgerald recovers. 7-0. Hurricanes have the lead. Steve, Todd?
How strange is that look? A number 13 next to Florida State.
It does. It does. I think they had something like 15 straight years of being in the top 5. It's amazing.
Here they are again, Todd. Third down and 9 from the 43. From the shotgun. Hance all by himself in the backfield. Pressure from the backside. Rolling to his right. And he'll just throw it into the Michigan bench. Got good pressure. Larry Foote was chasing him down.
Now, this is a great stand, obviously, for Michigan's defense. But again, give some credit here to Hance of understanding what he needs to do. As he's rolling to his right, all the receivers are downfield. There's nobody close. He understands the rule, gets rid of it. And as Jim Chaney, his offensive coordinator, pointed out to us, a punt's not altogether bad. Sometimes you got to give the defense credit. As Lou Holtz told me a long time ago, they're on scholarship too.
Back to punt is Dorsch, and it's a low line drive kick. And it's Marquise Walker on the punt return. And he can make some people miss, and he does so out to the 31-yard line.
We talked about what a terrific week Travis Dorsch had last week, but that was a very costly punt. And being low and not covering it at all, it affords Marquise Walker to get the ball upfield and afford Michigan State excellent field position. Only a 20-yard net on that particular punt.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Best Buy. For the latest technology, turn on the fun at Best Buy. And by Hyundai. For the freedom of America's best warranty, the Hyundai Advantage is standard equipment.
Even the Squirrels tailgate here in Ann Arbor. Munching away at something tasty. Welcome you back inside Big House. Back to the tight end, Benny Joffrey. On the screenplay, that might go for a yard. The Michigan offensive line looks a little something like this. Jonathan Goodwin is the only returning starter on the offensive line. The 4 that left are all starting in the NFL.
Some of the highest praise I'd ever heard was for number 98, Matt Mitrione, when yesterday the head coach Lloyd Carr said, that guy is my kind of player.
Rarely hear that from
opposing head coach.
Exactly.
Second down and 6 upcoming after the gain of 4. Navarre hands it off on the draw to B.J. Ashby. He's into the secondary and more. He's down to the 45-yard line. Antoine Rogers brought him down after the 15-yard gain. Looked like he shot right through the Purdue linebackers. Gilbert Gardner playing with a bit of a neck stinger after injuring it a week ago against Iowa.
In the secondary, the big issue, Stuart Schweigert is their potential All-American at free safety. But look for the matchup of Ashante Woodyard versus Marquise Walker. That's going to be very critical to the outcome of this game.
Pitch, reverse, and they give it back to Marquise Walker on the end-around reverse. And he follows the football. Purdue says they have it. And they do. Walker coughs up the football, and Purdue able to recover the fumble led by Sean Phillips.
The footing betrays Marquise Walker, and Lloyd Carr is livid over the fact that he thinks he's down. Watch what's going to happen here. The reverse is going to come in this direction. You're going to see all sorts of blue shirts that line up here, but for whatever reason, Walker just cannot come up with it. Take a look. Now watch all the blue shirts are on the side. The white shirts now. Look at this. Look at all of these blue shirts. But right here he makes his cut. He slips. The ball comes out. I think it's a good call by the official. The ball looked clearly out before he was down. Watch the slip and watch the ball come out. Just as he was coming down, he takes a shot.
They just replayed that on the big screen here. Thus the reaction from the crowd. You see the live reaction from Lloyd Carr. He's already barked at one official. Now he tries to bark at another. The first turnover of the game. And Purdue's got the football. And the lead, 7-0. Coming up on 6 minutes to play. First quarter from Ann Arbor. And they go to Montrell Lowe, and he is stopped. Maybe a loss on the play.
Gilbert Gardner, who you just mentioned, Steve, who had the neck stinger, is the guy that's going to make this play. He's the one that makes the collision. Now watch the right of your screen. Watch him start to slide. Now watch Gardner. Gardner's helmet is going to come and hit the ball just before he hits the ground. Right there. Right there, the ball comes out. And the recovery is made by Sean Phillips, defensive end. That's a big play by number 16.
On 2nd and 11, low snap, Hance has it, and flags fly, whistles blown.
Steve, I'm telling you right now that this is one.
Prior to the snap, ball start offense. 5 yards, still second down.
This is one that Marquise Walker is going to be so sad when he sees that because of that phalanx of Mason Blue in front of him. I mean, if he keeps his feet, he might go. But instead he slips, and it's a break for Purdue. And again, give credit to those linebackers for Purdue. You see number 4 Walker. Steve, I thought it was interesting that he returns the punt. I was looking down the depth chart. He wasn't even on the depth chart. They had 3 guys up there.
In terms of punt returners, that's right.
Exactly.
5th penalty already today for Purdue. We've got more than 5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Here's Hance looking for some running room, and he is slammed down at the 40-yard line by Marlon Jackson. Let's see what kind of running room they've got in Miami and Florida State. Back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, we already showed you the block punt. Then Florida State would fumble the football, and here's Miami. Ken Dorsey to Andre Johnson, 27 yards, touchdown. 15 forced turnovers this year for Miami, 62 points as a result.
Florida State hasn't lost in Doak Campbell Stadium since 1991, a span of 54 games.
Look at those 2 numbers on the bottom. Last year we mentioned how good they were, but once again, Steve, they come up on a 3rd and more than 10.
3rd and 12. Stand the 3rd in motion near side. Here's Hance in the shotgun. Hance looking to run and get it himself, unable to do so. He's shy of midfield. He picks up 9 on the play. Cato June stopped him.
Steve, that is his 5th carry for 26 yards, and of course that ends up being kind of a coverage sort of run, but the other 4 runs were planned. I don't think that this is a guy that can carry the ball 20 times in the game. This isn't necessarily his thing. As you can see, the hole open up. But again, give credit to the Michigan people able to close the gap. There's a situation, Steve, if it's a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, it's a first down. But instead, because of the penalties that they've been having problems with, now Dorsch is going to have to punt.
Actually, it's going to be Kurz. They go to their pooch punter, which is somewhat surprising, where he's standing at his 36-yard line. But it's Scott Kurz who has set the punt for Purdue on 4th and 3. And as you see, the play clock expired. So they'll take the delay of game and push them back 5 more yards.
Penalty. Still 4th down.
Let's see if Kurz leaves the field now and is replaced by Dorsch. And there he is. Travis Dorsch will, in fact, punt it away. Last week, a 79-yard punt. Career high for him. Third longest in Purdue history.
Well, he needs a little more hang time on this punt. Marquise Walker, very dangerous back there. We saw the 19-yard return earlier. That ball must have been in the air only about a second and a half.
You just know he wants to make up for that fumble as well. Dorsch gets it away, and Walker is going to get belted down at the 10. Flags fly. And you figure that's got to be the halo call after the 45-yard punt that Joey Harris.
Joey Harris is a 10.2 guy in the 100 meters. Interesting that you would have, you say to yourself, why do you have a prominent offensive player as your sprinter?
Kick catch interference. 5-yard penalty against the kicking team. First down.
Last year, Purdue's top gunner, if you remember, was number 14, Vinny Sutherland, one of their more prominent offensive players. Get a chance here to take a look at this punt. Holy cow, look at this punt. Turns over completely over the head of Khalil Hill. He stands on his 4, and it goes to the 4-yard line. A 79-yard punt. He averaged last week 51 yards. That's what he's doing on the season. 51.2. Can you believe that?
Back in Ann Arbor, we'll show you the Travis Dorsch punt again. It was a 45-yarder, but that's not the reason we're showing it to you. I know it's your least favorite penalty call, the halo penalty. What about this play?
But you see Dante Farrell and Joey Harris get in on him and drop him in his tracks. Okay, so what? We gave up 5 yards. We were able to drop the guy. We intimidated him a little bit. We got in a pretty good hit.
And it is Michigan's single biggest star offensive player. Although it is B.J. Askew, very close to a first down. Sports Center in game. Once again, our pal Brian Kelly.
Steve, we take you to Michigan State and Iowa, and the Spartans on a long drive. 8 plays, 68 yards. And here we go, Jeff Smoker to Charles Rogers. 15 yards there, so 14-0 Spartans. Minnesota got a field goal to make it 7-3 against Northwestern, but here, Zach Kustak to Sam Simmons. Steps in, he's going in. 14-3 or 13-3, extra point pending right now, Steve. Todd?
All right, Brian, thanks. Here's Navarre on second down. Throwing across the middle, able to complete out to the 47-yard line is Marquise Walker. There's more on him, down to Dave.
All right, Steve, Marquise Walker playing with a couple of injuries right now. He has got an injured jaw. He was hit pretty hard. Apparently, he's going to be all right. Injured jaw for Marquise Walker, guys. He was hit in the last series just before that fumble. Also, in warm-ups today, he jammed the finger trying to catch a punt. We'll keep an eye on that. Could have something to do with losing the ball. Keep an eye, too, on Ronald Bellamy, the receiver from Michigan. Flu-like symptoms. He threw up guys on the sidelines, but he's okay now.
All right, Dave, thanks for the updates. Chris Perry, the ball carrier there. Both teams have struggled running the football early on this afternoon.
Nico Kudavides is able to knife in there and make the play. Purdue does not have the big studs up front. And what I mean by that is they're not laden with a lot of the 300-pounders. You see Walker now coming back into the game. And so they rely a lot on speed, Steve, and they have it, particularly in the linebacking core. Those 3 guys fly all over the field.
Brock Spack told us that the defensive line for Purdue is their strength, but they're deepest at linebacker, where they've got 5 different players who can really get after it. The linebacking position. On second down, 11, blitz coming. They pick it up. Navarre picks it up, able to complete to Calvin Bell, and he should lead across the yardage marker for the first down, gain of 12.
Bell makes the catch, but it's Navarre is the guy that hangs in there. At the top, Dave Ryan documented that he's 6'6" and 240 pounds, and the one thing that does extremely well is hang in the pocket. Watch Purdue is going to come with the blitz. They come with 6. Look at Navarre, step to his left, hang in there, pat the ball, and delivers it right on the money. That's the poise that both Stan Parrish and Lloyd Carr talked about with this young man.
Navarre now 3 for 3 on this drive. And he'll put it on the ground to Askew. And he's across the 40 and out to the 36-yard line. Clemson and North Carolina State going at it this afternoon. That can only mean Brian Kenny.
Steve, Jericho Cotchery had no touchdown catches coming into this game in his college career. That's his second of the day. 13-7 NC State with the lead on Clemson. Antonio Bryant right now, 2 catches for 58 yards, and it's early in this one. Pittsburgh leading Syracuse 7-0.
How about that name? I love that name. Jericho Cotchery.
That's a great detective. Cool. Second down and 4. Final minute, quarter number 1. They pick up the blitz again. Navarre has passed too tall for Marquise Walker, who goes 6'3", 215. Got a hand on it, but couldn't bring it down. Jaquez Reeves was the coverage there. Some more great college football for you. Coming up, 7:45 Eastern tonight here on ESPN. The number 2 ranked Florida Gators and Auburn. Jabbar Gaffney, Rex Grossman, and the second-ranked Gators will visit the jungle in Auburn, Alabama. College football tonight on ESPN. For more on this weekend's action, log on to ESPN.com. Third down and 4. Navarre tried to step up and was punished by Matt Mitrione from the interior defensive line of Purdue.
Coming back to our conversation with Lloyd Carr yesterday, I said, well, why is he your kind of guy? And he says his motor never stops, and he is one tough guy. Goes with the swim move, comes over the top, does a great job of defeating his man. Again, we talked about the inexperience of the offensive line of Purdue. David Boss is the man that couldn't handle him there.
Mitrione's nickname, any phrase that has the word meat in it. He's a big, tough guy. And here's Epstein to punt it away. Seth Morales will let it go into the end zone. And Purdue will open 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. 10 seconds left in quarter number 1. Purdue the 7-0 lead over the Wolverines, and you can draw a lot of comparisons between these two teams.
Well, we talked about the rebuild offensive line, and they both Steve Levy clever enough to point out that they both lost star quarterbacks by the name of Drew. And of course, David Terrell was lost by Michigan. Vinny Sutherland was lost by Purdue. And of course, in both cases, they have stalwart defenses returning.
We would expect a low-scoring game. This one figures to be decided by some kind of kick late in the 4th quarter. Might want to hang with us all afternoon on ESPN. Here's Hance running out of trouble, trying to make people miss, and couldn't break a tackle. He's brought down at the 21. Larry Foote got an arm on him, and it was enough. And that'll do it. Quarter number 1 comes to an end, and it does so with the visitors leading, trying to win for the first time since 1966 here in Ann Arbor. As you can see, there is a soft, warm, fuzzy side to big-time college football here in Ann Arbor. So it's only a $200, $2,000 camera or so. As a sign of the times, mentioned 1966. The last time Purdue won here in Ann Arbor, Todd.
It was
here we go.
Yeah.
Knew that was coming. And Joe Tiller, 23 years old the last time, and they say he had curly, blonde, flowing locks. Exactly. Hard to picture that. That's why he's got the hat on, maybe. Second down and 7. Here's Hance opening up quarter number 2. Incomplete pass, too long for Seth Morales. ESPN's exclusive game track as we flash back to the first quarter.
Well, the only score of the quarter came as a result of Hance fumbles the snap, but battles to the outside, throws a toss-up. Stratton with the great hands, able to come up with a touchdown. Marquise Walker on the double reverse here slips, and a result of Gilbert Gardner stretching his hand out. And of course, Stubblefield is the one who makes the big third down catch that kept the drive alive so Stratton could get his touchdown. Steve, I wanted to make a point on that 1966, one of the interesting things there, Notre Dame and Michigan. That was one of the big games in college football, a 10-10 tie that many of you will recall, those of you that are old enough.
Here's 3rd and 7. Hance completing, but they're well short of the first down to Taylor Stubblefield.
But again, there's the relationship that he has with Stubblefield, but in that case, he needed to get the ball down the field as a cheer goes up from the 110K here. Pleased with the Michigan defense who once he gets Purdue 3 and out.
Yeah, this is a Michigan defense that 1 week ago shut out Penn State. We all know it's a down year for the Nittany Lions, but still, the first time ever a Joe Paterno Penn State team was shut out on their home field. Certainly a significant accomplishment. Here's Travis Dorsch, a line drive punt. And Marquise Walker from his 30, the 40, the 45, out to the 50. He's got the sideline working for him. Cuts inside. Walker still on the move and is finally brought down at the 27-yard line of Purdue. Chris Randolph makes the special teams stop.
Well, here's the issue. The distance was plenty, 44 yards, but Steve, you actually called it when it was a bit of a line drive. He catches it. There's nobody within 10 yards. He's able to get a run upfield. He picks up some blocks. Here's the advantage of having a return to the 6'3", 213. He does not go down with an arm tackle. He's able to break tackles and come up the field. A 44-yard punt, but on this particular return, it is 43 yards. So in essence, it was a net of only 1 yard.
Todd, you brought it up before. Marquise Walker had not returned a single punt in the first 5 games of the season. Yet here in Game 6 against Purdue, he's on the field for the last 3 punt returns. B.J. Askew, the ball carrier.
Shows the magnitude of the game.
And what a return, and we return it to Brian Kenny.
Steve, Texas trying to bounce back from Oklahoma, taking on Oklahoma State, but the Cowboys convert a 3rd and 10, then a 3rd and 12, and this is a 3rd and goal. Aso Pogai to Rashawn Woods. Great catch, 10-0. Texas just lost a fumble.
Remember, we had Pogai earlier.
I was going to say, there's a familiar name.
Also, big, tough kid.
Here's Navarre. He's got Walker. He's to the 5, and he's dragging people around before he's finally pounded down to the 2-yard line. Brady Doe couldn't bring him down all by himself.
And Brady Doe clearly is not used to having to tackle somebody like this, the 6'3", 213-pound Syracuse native, able to get his big body on him. It's interesting, Steve, that they have the man coverage here. I'm surprised that they're not doing something in terms of double-teaming Walker. He does a nice job. Look at the catch. Now watch at the end. He's going to go down. No, not necessarily. Shakes 1 tackle, keeps his legs moving, gets an extra 4 yards in the arms of Brady Doe.
Doe is replacing the strong safety, the starter, Ralph Turner, out with a shoulder injury, and Michigan able to power through for the touchdown by B.J. Askew. On to attempt the extra point as the large house gets loud. Epstein is good, and we are even. 13:06 to play here in the first half, and we're tied at 7.
Michigan wide receiver and punt returning star Marquise Walker, a big part of a 7-7 game. He had a great punt return, and that catch that set up the touchdown a moment ago scored by Askew. His great athletic catch is really nothing new for this kid. Let's take you back to 1997, his senior year in high school, Henniger High, Syracuse, New York. The game played at the Carrier Dome. Even then, guys, the great ability to out-jump defensive backs and battle for the ball. As coaches tell us, he is tenacious when the ball is in the air and perhaps the best route runner Lloyd Carr has ever had here at Michigan.
Kickoff. Dante Ferrell will take a knee.
Marquise Walker from the Henniger Black Knights, coached by Bob Campisi.
Brian Kenny, back to you, SportsCenter in game.
Steve, Todd, a little more in the Big Ten, Iowa and Michigan State. And Iowa trying to get back in it, down 14-0. Kyle McCann, a little flip there to C.J. Jones. An outstanding run. He didn't get into the end zone, but it set up an Iowa touchdown. So it's now 14-7. They're still in the first quarter. Steve, Todd?
All right, Brian, thank you. Here in Ann Arbor, we've got 16th ranked Purdue, number 12 Michigan. 13 minutes even to play in the first half, and we are tied at 7. Purdue marched the field on their opening drive for the 7 points. Off play action, they hand it off to Taylor Stubblefield. The wide receiver on the end around there, and he's go down for a loss of yardage on the play.
Dan Rumashek does a great job of, as they say, staying at home. He was not fooled by the misdirection. He was waiting on Stubblefield. And even though he doesn't make the tackle, he turns him back to the inside for the loss.
Rumashek is tied for the team lead with 4 sacks, had 3 of them at Penn State, all of them in the second quarter last week, and he forced the fumble as well. He's one of the real forces on that Michigan defense. Loss of 2 on that last play. Second down and 12. 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right for Brandon Hance. And who needs receivers when he can run with the football, though he's not successful there. Victor Hobson snuffed it out, didn't even get back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll bring up a 3rd down and long. College football for you on ESPN 2. The night game tonight at 10 Eastern. Love the Fresno State Bulldogs. Number 10 of the nation will take on Colorado State. David Carr. I get that postcard every single week now. The Heisman hopeful college football Saturday on ESPN2. That might be the toughest test the rest of the way for Fresno State. That'll be an interesting watch over on ESPN2 tonight. Here's Hance on 3rd and 10. And forget about it. Nothing doing. Brought down by Cato June as Michigan was bringing some people.
Michigan does a great job of going with the zone blitz there, and it confused Brandon Hance. He looks downfield, is anticipating some man coverage. Take a look at the blue shirts in the secondary. They're going to settle down in the zone right in this area here. And Hance is thinking that it's man for man because he sees this blitz from the outside. Instead, they settle down in the zone. He only has 3 wide receivers out, and there are 7 defensive backs, and the result is a sack.
And the punt by Dortch, able to get it away. Again, it's Marquise Walker. He'll let it bounce and finally pick it up at the 19. And here's Walker. Take on some people. He's out to the 36-yard line. That's where Michigan will take over.
It's interesting when you're a tremendous athlete, you have such extreme confidence in your ability. Now, how many times would you think that a guy would do this? Watch, he takes the hop and one-hands it. Going the other direction, able to get away from Joey Harris and make something out of that return. It just shows the supreme confidence that Walker has. He tells everybody to get away from it, but then he realizes, hey, I can't let it keep bouncing. I got to make a play, and that's exactly what he does.
And Dorsch will help with his average. That was a 61-yard punt. Dave Ryan?
A lot more Marquise Walker, guys. Covered him in Syracuse when I was a TV sportscaster there in Central New York. He's a great basketball player, too. Talked about his agility, athleticism, and good hands. He had some college recruiting interest to be a college basketball player, too.
Here's Navarre in trouble. He's brought down by Aiken Adela. Wondering what Dave is doing hanging out in high schools. But the high school only 20 minutes from his house, so it's understandable.
And that's fine. Plus, you know what? I want the pictures of when Dave tried to post Marquise Walker up. I want to see some of that basketball.
Never took him on one-on-one. That'd be a bad idea. I'm about 5'8", 6'3", guys.
5'8".
But then, wait a second.
5'8", Dave.
Well, you can cuff dunk, can't you, Dave? You're a 360 guy.
Absolutely not.
Dave, like a lot of the athletes on the 2-deep, fibbing about his height. Here's Navarre. Going across the middle and completing the Bills. Seymour, the tight end, is exactly at midfield. First down, Michigan. Stuart Schweigert brought him down after the 14-yard gain.
I mentioned the fact that early on that Seymour might play a pivotal role. What Purdue is trying to do here is that they understand that maybe man for man they can't match up. So what they're doing is they're coming with blitzes. They're creating some gaps in the secondary. Seymour just turned down at 10 yards, turned around, was wide open.
Speaking of potential fibbing, the offensive line for Michigan, 9 of their 10 on the 2-deep are listed at 298 or 299 pounds. Is that possible, Todd? That they're not one guy over 300 pounds. As Navarre throws, and Walker could not hang on to that one. Jaquez Reeves was there on the coverage.
Well, here we're talking about Walker. That was something that appeared to be a very catchable ball to the outside. Tough catch, but nonetheless. Take a look at the flap on his arm. He takes a look at this. Not just a tape, but a flap. Look at that, how that came up. I tell you what, it's a computer age, isn't it?
It looks like he had a beeper in there or something.
I'm thinking that if Tom Maddie is watching this, remember Tom Maddie in the old days, they had that little wrist thing. He would have said, wow, if only they'd had Velcro back in 1965.
Well, Velcro, what a concept. Draw play to Askew, and he's spinning away from some people, and he's out to the 43 of Purdue. Schweigert brought him down after the gain of 7. Schweigert, the Saginaw, Michigan native.
It's hard for me to believe that number 35, Askew, runs a 4.3 4.40, but he certainly is very agile. What he reminds me of a little bit, those of you that are Big Ten fans, which I hope all of you are, he reminds me a little bit of Eddie George because he has those same dimensions. Eddie George is one of the few tall running backs who's very effective, 6'3", 235. Askew is 6'3" and about 228. Many people felt that this was the year of Perry to step in and be the tailback, but Askew beat him out in the fall, and up to this point, Perry has not been able to get the position back.
Askew very versatile, and they say he could even pass protect. Wow. Here's Navarre, throws down Walker all by himself. Touchdown! Just blew away the coverage of Ashante Wood here. Marquise Walker on the receiving end of a 43-yard scoring strike from John Navarre.
his head. Here it is, man for man. The thing to take a look at here is the adjustment that Walker is going to make on the ball. Take a look, the ball is thrown. Now he'll cut back to the inside of the defender. We'll get a chance to look at that. That was amazing. What a terrific throw by Navarre. The ball's in the air right now. Now watch, he turns to the left. He cuts back, and the ball is still there. Woodyard has nothing to do. A perfectly thrown ball. Walker is a star.
Marquise Walker adding to his all-purpose yardage today. He's got 3 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. He's got 4 punt returns for 79 yards. He's even rushed the ball for 3 yards.
And I'm guessing he's getting some encouraging words from receiver coach Eric Campbell, who's telling him, actually he's telling him 4 words: "You are the man."
Walker, certainly the man in the Big Ten, came in today with 36 grabs to lead the conference, tied for 9th in the entire country. There's Joey Harris. He's got the speed to make something happen, but not there. He's brought down to the 22-yard line.
Well, this shows when you know that you are the stone star of the team as you bounce back from a mistake. Marquise Walker on the double reverse feels like he's got something going. Instead, he slips, and there's a fumble. Very easy to go into a shell, but instead Walker says, no, I'm going to continue to make some plays. And let's give credit where credit is due here. That's a nice adjustment and a terrific catch by Walker, but the throw by Navarre. Now 7 for 10, 128 yards, throws the ball before he looks. Walker turns, and the ball is right on his hands. Great job by number 16.
Hand off to Montrell Lowe. And he picks up 5 on the play and send it back to Brian Kenny. Brian.
Steve, will start in the Big Ten with Iowa and Michigan State. It's again Herb Haygood with a nice catch here. Jeff Smoker finds him back of the end zone, took it away. He had a 47-yard catch earlier in the day. 21-7 now. Spartans in the second quarter. And this one all tied up now in the ACC. Clemson and NC State, they're at 14 in the second quarter as well. Steve, stop.
One of the things here is we're talking about Marquise Walker. Charles Rogers from Michigan State is a stud. I tell you what, Steve, he's a player.
Fake the inside handoff, hands throwing. Wow, what a hit! Stubblefield is flattened by Todd Howard of Michigan.
Steve, I can tell you this from experience. When you run the out route, against that double zone, that's the price you pay if the quarterback doesn't see it for you. He leads him right into it. He's going to run right into him. Now he needs to throw it quickly. But again, that certainly makes sense for us because Todd Howard is today, he is our Singularis Specialis 3-year Letterman. More pass breakups than anybody in the history of Michigan, which is saying a lot as he broke Charles Woodson's record. Blazing speed in the 40 at 4.39.
They had a stat for a body breakup. That would have been it. Hance comes right back to Tim Stratton, completing across midfield, and he's at the 46-yard line of Michigan.
One of the things that Hance does very well here is he's patient. We talk about the young quarterback, and sometimes he doesn't hang in the pocket and do what he's supposed to. He does this time. They got Stratton on the out and up. There's a little bit of a pick. Cato June comes off it. He's a little bit too late. Stratton not known for blazing speed, but he is known for terrific hands. The 23-yarder right there by number 89.
That is Purdue's first down since their incredible first drive, their first possession of the game where they had their lone touchdown. There's a flag down as Montrell Lowe is the ball carrier, and he inches closer to the 40-yard line. Mentioned the running game really struggled a week ago. Montrell Lowe had 9 carries for 10 yards. Cedric Brown had just 1 carry for no yards last week. And Joey Harris, 6 carries for 7 yards. The top 3 tailbacks for Purdue.
It appears that if you're wondering what the conversation is about, it's the decision as to whether or not there were 6 or 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And the line judges are debating as to whether or not one of the receivers was off. And with the myriad of sets that Purdue has with their wide receivers, sometimes it can be confusing. They might pick this up. Then again, they might not. And Steve, this turns out to be a 10-yard penalty because of the, actually an 11-yard penalty because of the 6-yard game on first down.
Illegal formation. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Sunday Night Football for you on ESPN. A game Todd, I'm sure, will be watching. The Raiders and the Colts. Jerry Rice will be in Indianapolis. They'll take on Peyton Manning And the Colts, a meeting of offensive minds when the Colts host the Raiders. Sunday Night Football on ESPN.
You know, it's kind of funny. The Raiders are known for picking up, you know, the cast-offs and guys that can't play. And I said that to somebody the other day. I said, yeah, they picked up that cast-off Jerry Rice. What a staff.
He's squeaky clean, Jerry Rice. Here's Hance on the move, and he finds the sideline. Victor Hobson forced him out of bounds.
38 years of age and still do. I tell you what, he is a specimen. He is something.
Says he's rejuvenated. Says the patterns they're allowing him to run are so different than they were in San Francisco.
Hey, you put on that black shirt, man, something good happens. Well, of course, Purdue got off to a tremendous start, poised 4 for 4 on third down conversions in that first draft. Since then, the Michigan defense clearly has stiffened.
You mentioned the third down conversions during that first drive. 25 yards, 23 yards, and 22 yards. They weren't in 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3. This is 2nd down and 9. 6.5 to play in the first half. Hance the ball carries. Pummeled down from behind at the 45 by Norman Coyle.
Eric Brackens is the one that comes in and makes the play, though. He's the one that started it.
Miami and Florida State. Is it competitive, Brian Kenny?
Well, at the moment, sorta. Steve, here we go. Ed Reed had an interception for Miami. He's making things happen. Then Ken Dorsey to Andre Johnson. Got him close. They went in on a 4th down try, a pass to Jeremy Shockey, so 21-0. So it could be a little closer. Meantime, Mikey Stadium, Army and East Carolina are tied up. Steve, Todd?
Steve, I'm thinking that if indeed they can follow through and win that game, I think they're going to get their #1 back from Florida.
Here's Hance down on a 3rd and long. Sideline, and it looked like it went right through the hands of Tim Standiford.
Key 3rd down conversion. Standiford does the same thing that Marquise Walker does, and that is he needs to make an adjustment off of the corner. Watch number 82. He makes the adjustment. Now watch, the ball's right there. You got to catch that ball. Steve, you called it exactly right. It went right between his hands. He has to come up with that ball.
4th down and 9. Kurz is in to attempt the punt. And not Dort. Kurz, who was the pooch punter, a straight-on punt. Marquise Walker, the fair catch, down to Dave.
Guys, we saw the Standiford drop pass a moment ago. Joe Tiller told me before the game today, one of the worst things about playing here a couple years ago, trouble with drop balls. A Purdue worst 14 under Tiller that day.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
It's a skill like anything else. You know, I miss college life an awful lot. This might be the only part I don't miss. As you look inside some of the living conditions, one particular fraternity here on campus in Ann Arbor. Kind of looks like my apartment right now, actually. Wow, big hit behind the line of scrimmage down at the 5-yard line. Matt Mitrione, put a hat on B.J. Eskew.
Well, Steve, just as we were talking about Purdue and the contrast for them offensively from first to second quarter, the same thing has happened for Michigan, but in reverse. The team that through the year had outscored opponents 29-3 in the first quarter struggled in the first quarter, but over the last 2 drives you can put together, or see rather, they put together scoring drives. Purdue really needs a stop here, Steve, because if Michigan goes up 21-7, that would be very possible.
After the loss, 2nd and 14, Navarre from his own end zone. He's able to complete to Ronald Bellamy. Gets some of the yards back. Fumbled the football. Let's see.
That's huge.
And Purdue has it.
That is
the Boilermakers will take over. Nico Koudouvides on the fumble recovery. And the Boilermakers will take over 1st and 10 from the Michigan 15-yard line. 2nd Michigan fumble of the day.
It was all said to be critical for the gap created there in the secondary. But look at the strip. Stays with the left arm. Right there, the ball comes out. That's number 28 for Purdue. That was Jacques Reeves who's able to strip it. The recovery is made, and Bellamy has had injuries all year, but he really doesn't have any, and he has the flu, but you can't use an excuse for that. Michigan with yet another costly turnover. We'll see whether or not Purdue can turn it into points.
Dave mentioned Bellamy's upset stomach on the sideline prior to the game, and that's got to upset his stomach even more. See how costly the turnover is. Hands from the Boilermakers taking over. 1st and 10 from the 15 of Michigan now. And they open out of the shotgun. Here's Hance rolling to his right. He's got some running room as he turns the corner. There is a flag down as he's out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Actually, we'll say the 11-yard line.
And once again, it's going to be, I believe, the 9th penalty for Purdue, and it's going to be a hold and set them back. The protection was good, maybe too good, and I think that's what you see right there is number 79, Mierzkowski is able to hold. Hance takes off, and Steve, that's his 8th carry of the game. And I just don't know if he can continue to do that. And the penalty yards is very costly here for Purdue. Once again, 1st and long.
Worth repeating, in their win over Michigan in West Lafayette a year ago, they committed just 2 penalties the entire game. So here we go, 1st and 20 now. Hance under some pressure, lofts one towards the corner, and the receiver Standiford could not cut inside on the defensive back, Todd Howard, incomplete pass.
Howard does a nice job in coverage. A lot of times they'll get interference if he backs up, but Howard ran with him stride for stride, looked back to the quarterback, and the result is no. It's not going to be a penalty. You saw him give the shaka bra to the sidelines. I don't know what he's doing the shaka bra for. He's not Hawaiian, is he?
Not that I'm aware of.
Illinois native. I guess he saw Russ Francis do that.
Howard leading the team with 28 starts heading into this one. He's had a strong game. Hance 7 of 15 for 114 yards and a score to this point. This is 2nd down and 20. Lofting one right side of the end zone. Got a man, and it is no, incomplete. Was looking for Chris James, and it appeared he had it momentarily.
I think that's a situation where the ground caused it to bounce up. Watch James extend himself here. He has it in his hands right there. Just as the ground, sure enough, the ground hits it and the ball bounces up. That's a terrific throw by Hance. Had good protection there. Now, I think that one of the things Purdue needs to do here, Steve, they're probably not going to get a 1st down to about the 5-yard line, but he needs to throw underneath or maybe even a quarterback draw, because right now we're looking at a 42-yard field goal, and that's a pretty good distance.
Purdue converted their first 3 third-down opportunities, but they're only 1 for 6 their last 6 tries. And as the ball was snapped, Hance signaled timeout, and he did, in fact, get the call before the ball was snapped, their first time out of the first half.
And Joe Tiller nods in assent. Yes, if you're not quite sure, then let's come over and talk about it.
We'll step out. Hance and Purdue will come back for the 3rd down and 20. Back in Ann Arbor, rain in the forecast, and hey, they got it right. Starting to come down here at Michigan Stadium, the big house. Some 110,000 people on hand for this big-time Big Ten football game. Here's a big play. We welcome you back for 3rd down and 20. See if they get the 1st down. The key probably is to avoid putting themselves out of field goal range. Low snap. Hance will step up, and he'll be brought down. Taken down at the 27 by Cato June.
Really surprised there, Steve, that they didn't just go with something short. And in fact, the way the defense was set up, they could have just gone off tackle or maybe with a quarterback draw. Now you're looking at a 45 or 46-yard field goal. And certainly Dorsch has the range for this. But once you get past 40 yards, the percentages drop. And it is right down the middle, however.
Dorsch, as usual, never travels anywhere without his mom and dad. This will be a 45-yard attempt for Travis Dorsch, and he blasts it through. Wow! Dorsch, 9 of 11 coming into action today. His only misses from 50 and 59, so a 45-yarder is a chip shot for Travis Dorsch as his mom cheers. Dorsch such a big factor on the Purdue special teams. How about the Michigan State special teams today? There's Brian Kenny.
Steve, Herb Haygood already has 7 catches for 100 yards. Now this after an Iowa touchdown, made it a 21-14 game. Good up the middle, then breaking back. This will help his all-purpose yardage. 100 yards all the way back. Had one against Northwestern, a touchdown return. There's another one, 28-14. And Texas is back on the board and just recovered a fumble. So they've got the football, and they're within a field goal on the Cowboys. Steve, Todd?
All right, Brian, thank you.
Certainly Dorsch again. I was going to say certainly Dorsch is a terrific kicker, but let's not forget Michigan came on the field after a turnover with the ball on the 14-yard line. Talk about stiffening. Not only stiffening, but the field goal ends up being at 45 when if they'd have done it on first down, it would be like a 31-yard field goal. So kudos to the Maize and Blue on defense.
Todd Howard, Marlon Jackson are back deep for Michigan. Here's Dortch. Put the foot into it. That could have been Marlon Jackson from the 2. Jackson out across the 20, the 25, and he's just shy of the 30-yard line. He's down to Dave.
Steve, last week against Iowa, Travis Dorsch, a few games you talked about. He had 3 field goals, had a 79-yard punt, which was the 3rd longest in school history, and he accounted for 11 of their 24 points. Got a sticker on the back of his helmet. Again, it's the 2nd straight week after hitting a career-high 48-yarder against Minnesota to tie that game with just 1 second left. Special teams, a big part of Purdue's success, and they get rewarded. The coaches put the decals in the back after big plays or big contributions.
All right, Dave, thanks. Ran into Travis Dortch after the game a week ago. Said, hey, great game. Tough game, though, for David Bradley, who was the Iowa punter. Turns out the 2 are buddies. Here's Navarre. He's sacked in the backfield. Sacked by Sean Phillips. Let's go back to the studio. And Brian Kenny.
Steve, take you to Alabama and Ole Miss. Here's Eli Manning to Jason Armstead. And Armstead going to bring this to the 3-yard line. It would set up a touchdown, so Ole Miss tying this one up. They're in the 2nd quarter at 7-7, and Florida State has just gotten on the board. They haven't had a chance for the extra point as of yet. 21-6 right now.
Too early to call that game over. They were in a 4-point game, and Navarre looking for more. Screens it out to Askew. They take on some people. 3 or 4 white shirts. And he's banged down to the 27-yard line. Phillips finally brought him down.
Looked like Joe Odom had made a terrific play getting him in the backfield. Just shows how tough Askew is. Number 51 had him dead to rights, but he's able to break the tackle and get back closer to the line of scrimmage. And now Michigan will be faced with a 3rd and very long. Joe Odom is quite a specimen. Over the summer, number 51 put together a program where now he bench presses over 400 pounds, and they said he ran the 40 under 4.5. That's hard to believe for a middle backer.
3rd down and 11. Here's Navarre across the middle, able to complete to Sean Thompson, the backup tight end. His first catch. Looks like it was just shy of the 1st down. When Lloyd Carr found out Drew Henson was not coming back to be a star quarterback, in a way, it kind of brought this group closer together.
Michigan football is about a team, about 11 guys playing together as hard as they can on every down. And I also told them that based on the people that we had lost, nobody was going to give this team much credit. I think the next day in the paper, they talked about this, don't expect much from this team. So I think it's been a motivating factor for us.
So far, so good for Michigan on the season. Just the 1 loss at Washington. Here they have the 4-point lead.
And another flag for Purdue on the punt return. Antoine Rogers is going to get caught for a block in the back. And so the 2-minute drill that Purdue might have had starting out at the 27-yard line now is going to start at about the 10. And they might be content, Steve, just to run it out. The 10th penalty for the Boilermakers.
10 penalties, and we're not even at halftime.
And Joe Tiller's telling the same thing. If your head's not in front, don't do it.
Minute 42 to play here in the 1st half. Coming up at halftime, our Saturn Sports Center in-game halftime report with Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore. Today's highlights, an update on the baseball playoffs. Are the Astros still around there, Todd?
I don't believe so.
Swept out again. Handoff, Hance to Montrell Lowe, and Purdue just can't get the running game going. And you know what? We talked to Joe Tiller about that this week, and he said, hey, it's not like we're too proud, too macho. We're going to run the ball no matter what happens. He understands that is not their strength.
And a lot of the problems that he's going to have right now, that's Joe Tiller and Jim Chaney, is what to decide here. Clearly, by handing off on 1st down, they indicated they are not going to go into the 2-minute drill. But Michigan has all of their timeouts. And the result is then that Michigan is going to use them, and they're going to be in pretty good shape unless Jim Chaney can make a call that gets them a 1st down.
Michigan spending the first timeout with 1:37 left. Two first-place teams in the Big Ten. Purdue at 4-0 on the season. The last time the Boilermakers opened up a season 5-0, you got to go all the way back to 1945. So they're dealing that. And they're also dealing with the fact this is a place they haven't won since 1966.
Well, here's the issue, and I think this is something to look for, and that because of the fact that Hance is such a good runner, I think this is a chance for them to run some of the quarterback runs that are designed, at least giving the impression that they might go back and throw.
So here we go on 2nd down and 10. Put the tight end in motion. Hance will play action and throw. And throwing to the tight end who was in motion, Standiford unable to hang on. Not Standiford, rather, Mike Reinhardt, the true freshman tight end.
Reinhardt with a little bit more speed, but he doesn't run the routes quite as well. And that's a little bit of a comeback for Cato June, because remember, he got picked earlier on that one and couldn't quite catch up. This time, number 2 is running with him man for man. It's the same route, but June is right there. I called him June Cato earlier, with apologies not only to his parents but to my mother, because her first name was June. That's what must have had somewhere in the back of my head.
On 3rd down and 10. Hance looking to take off, and he'll slide down. He's stopped at the 9.
And Michigan should call a timeout right now, which they do. Now, unless Dorsch can hit one of his absolute rain-dropping punts, Michigan is going to be in terrific field position. And this is the time where they really need number 30.
Michigan does spend their 2nd timeout. And while we have the time, here's Brian.
Well, Steve, coming up Saturn halftime report, 37-game winning streak, 54 without a loss. Is the streak over for Florida State? We'll have the latest on that. Florida State and Miami. Well, full highlights of Herb Haygood, Michigan State and Iowa. Tremendous performance there. And we'll look ahead to the mighty Gators tonight. Florida and Auburn. Rodney Gilmore will join me at the half. Steve?
All right, we look forward to all of that. Number 2 in the land, Florida, traveling to Auburn, 7:45 Eastern here on ESPN. 4th and 10. Dorsch, by the way, we spent a lot of time on him today, and obviously he's been outstanding the last couple of weeks. He would be the number 1 punter in the nation, except he doesn't have enough punting attempts. He is shy in attempts in the category. That's because Scott Kurz does handle about half the punting chores for the game.
And see, one of the reasons why he has been busy today is because of the ineffectiveness of the Purdue rushing game. Low, 5 carries for 4 yards. Harris, 1 for -1. Stubblefield, 1 for -2. Only Hance has positive yardage thus far.
Here's Dorsch from his own end zone. High, spiraling kick. It'll take its time to get to Marquise Walker from the 40. Makes one man miss. Now the 50, he's across midfield, and he's at the 45-yard line. And so Michigan will take over at the 45 of Purdue with 1 timeout left and 1:11 to play in the first half.
Get a chance to see John Navarre run the 2-minute drill, and I'd have to say that Dorsch did his job there. Pretty decent punt of 51 yards, but again, the return problem there is 16. Up to this point, Steve, Michigan has been averaging 19 yards a punt return, and that's not good for Purdue's special teams.
So here, 1st and 10 from the 45. 4 receivers in the pattern for Navarre and Michigan. He dumps it underneath for Askew. Askew breaks the tackle, and he's out to the 32-yard line. 1st down and more. Ashante Woodyard finally brought him down. I mentioned it. Brian mentioned it. You want to be in position in front of your TV sets tonight for number 2 Florida at Auburn. Yeah, the Gators have that offense. Watch for that very tough Tiger defense tonight here on ESPN at 7:45 Eastern. Flags fly as Navarre went back. Courtney Morgan might have moved, the right tackle. He's starting in place of Demetrius Solomon on that Michigan offensive line. Solomon injured his leg at Penn State a week ago.
Prior to the snap, we had the coachman by the defense that draw the offensive man.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
This is interesting, and here's why. Joe Tiller talked a couple of weeks ago when we were talking to him about it was another game but unrelated. He talked about as to whether or not sometimes, you know, when you play in different places, the judgment call and what direction does it go. And certainly there, as you see the penalties, clearly I'm not talking about obviously there's a discrepancy, and I'm not accusing anybody, but certainly 110,000 screaming people can have an effect on human judgment.
We marked at the 27-yard
So
line.
first down and 5.
First
So
and 5.
Morgan moved, but it wasn't his fault. It was Gilbert Gardner's fault in Purdue. Not to single out Morgan in the movement of play. They'll pitch and now hand off. Here's Walker. He's thrown a touchdown pass already. And this one will be intercepted. It's Stuart Schweigert down the sideline. Schweigert with 3 interceptions on the season. His 4th, and he'll bring it all the way down to the 36-yard line. Bellamy finally bumped him out, but Stuart Schweigert there able to pick off the pass from Marquise Walker.
And I'm telling you right now, Bellamy makes a big play in catching him from behind, and I'm not trying to demean what Schweigert did. This is an absolute quail on the part of Walker. Ill-advised because of the way that they were going, I thought, offensively. I'm not a fan of this call at all. Here he's going to come on the reverse. He's going to throw a ball here, and Schweigert's going to be in the middle and just make an easy interception. Here he comes in the reverse. Now watch, he's going to throw off the back foot. Does not get a very good throwaway, and Schweigert gets it. Now watching the pursuit. Watch Bellamy come from behind. Don't forget, Schweigert was a Michigan State champion in the 100 meters his junior year, and Bellamy able to catch him from behind.
Brandon Hance to Seth Morales. That skipped off the turf for an incomplete pass. It'll go as a 58-yard return for Schweigert. He now has 9 career interceptions. The school record is 11. The guy's only a sophomore.
And don't forget, how great must this feel? He is a Michigan native. And number 9 makes this interception. But watch the hustle by number 19. Sean Phillips, if he would have been looking, could have got a piece of him. Let's go down to Dave Ryan.
Todd, just an hour and a half north. That's so Saginaw, Michigan is. And after this play, we'll talk about it. Final moments of the first half. What a story for Schweigert today.
Hance has missed on his last 5 pass attempts. That'll go as an incomplete pass to Taylor Stubblefield. It'll look like a catchable ball. So he's 0 for his last 6, Hance is. Back to Dave.
All-American in high school, Steve, and Joe Taylor calls him his most prestigious recruit. That, of course, not counting Drew Brees, who turned out to be a great player after he came from Texas to West Lafayette. But Stuart Schweigert grew up a big Michigan fan, wanted to come play here, had a little miscommunication, apparently, with the Michigan coaches after a scholarship was offered. Turns out to get the most playing time right away at Purdue. Big Ten freshman year defensively. He was tremendous last season and this season, too.
Even wanted to go to Michigan State, but they had a coaching change there and fell into Purdue's arms, and they're happy about that. Here's Hance under pressure, and he'll be taken down at the 41. Jake Freisinger brought him down. There's 6 seconds left. They certainly appear to be out of field goal range.
This is the inexperience showing right there, Steve, because they're at the 36-yard line. A 53-yard field goal, that's something that might be plausible for Dorsch. Instead, now getting tackled at the 40 instead of throwing the ball away. Freisinger makes an absolutely huge play because now with 6 seconds remaining and only 1 timeout remaining, what they'd have to do here is they have to get a quick pass up the field, and certainly Michigan's going to be aware of that on the sidelines. Very costly for Purdue right there.
Smart play by Freisinger, 4-time Michigan Athletic Academic Achievement Award recipient. He comes up with the play there. Dorsch's long, by the way, is a 48-yarder. That's his career long, and that was 1 second left to force the overtime in the Minnesota win.
Well, again, he has become such a key. And remember, this is a guy who struggled a couple of years ago. You see the numbers that he's putting up, 10 out of 12 with a long of 48. But certainly you'd have to guess it with nothing to lose and maybe another half step that 53 yards would have been within his range. Now you're looking at about 57 or 58, and it appears that that's what they're going to take a shot at because they don't feel as if they can get a play in the last 6 seconds.
They'll call it 57. He's got the wind working for him. Again, his career long is 48. Here's Travis Dorsch from 57 yards away, and it's blocked.
And there's
blocked
nobody
by
there.
Michigan. And it's picked up. Michigan, Brandon Williams, but there is a flag down. Shanty Orr, I think, blocked it, and it was picked up by Brandon Williams.
Well, it's going to be a clip, Steve, and really this is a big play in reverse for Purdue because it appeared to me that there was only one blue shirt out there. They'll refuse that, and that'll be the end of the
On
half.
the return, we have a clip. That penalty's declined. Halftime.
Obviously, with the longer field goals, you always have the lower trajectory from the kick. Watch at the end of the play here. Dorsch has to be a little bit lower on the kick. There's the middle. Orr gets it. And Williams had nothing but green grass, but it took him a little while to come up with it. And, of course, his parents are not very happy about it. As you can see their reaction. Oh, nuts, nuts, nuts. Not as good as the last time. Still, only down 4 points at halftime.
All right, Steve, Todd, thank you very much. We're keeping track, of course, with Florida State in Miami. Last loss at home for Florida State, 1991. But that also to Miami. Florida State's trying to push it in right now, but it's been pretty much all Miami. Here on a 4th down play, Ken Dorsey to Jeremy Shockey. That's in the 2nd quarter. And right now, 21-6. Florida State already with, the wide right thing, missing a kick as well, an extra point, 21-6. But Florida State knocking on the door. Full highlights. Rodney Gilmore and I back right after this.
Welcome to SportsCenter in-game. Time for the Saturn Halftime Report.
And hi, everybody. Welcome back. Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore. We're watching a little TV as well. Florida State, again, 37-game winning streak, 54 without a loss. Let's pick up the highlights. Miami and Florida State. Longest home winning streak, if Florida State does lose, will go to Oregon at 23 in a row. So here we go. Florida State backed up, did 4th and 12 in the punt. Oh, no! Ed Reed with the block. Marquise Fitzgerald picks it up. Touchdown, Miami. Got to be sound on special teams. Isn't that you? 7-0 later in the first quarter. Chris Ricks fumbled the ball. Ken Dorsey to Andre Johnson. So Roger fumbles, block punt. So Miami taking over a lot of that.
Yeah, quick strike. They've done that a couple of times today. Right after turnover, got back in the ball game. But then Florida State coming back.
Chris Ricks in trouble. Throws this. Tipped. Oh, picked up. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ed Reed. There goes that man again. Ed Reed with the pickoff and brings it back. From there, knocking at the door, 4th and goal. Going for it here, right? Going for the kill.
Yeah, this was also after Andre Johnson caught a pass, a quick strike after the pick, getting him down there. Miami getting no pressure on their quarterback at all. Dorsey having plenty of time to throw the ball.
Florida State has a 3rd and goal right now with just a couple of seconds left in the first half. So, not over yet. We'll keep you up to date. Again, few seconds left in the half. 21-6. Go to Minnesota Northwestern, back to the Big Ten in the fog at Evanston. A little rain involved there. Assad Abdul Khalik back in the fog. Picked off Marvin Brown. From there, Northwestern would drive. Damian Anderson would score at 7-0. It's 7-3 here. Zach Kustok, Sam Simmons. He's cutting back in, going 29 yards for the touchdown. Northwestern off a brutal, bruising loss last week to the Buckeyes. Trying to bounce back. And here, Simmons off a punt return. Back. Where'd this guy come from?
Well, the big play's been missing from the Northwestern offense. He's had a bad hand and not effective the last couple weeks, but Simmons big today.
71 yards all the way back. So right now at the half, 20-10, Northwestern does have the lead. Damian Anderson with just 8 carries, 33 yards. Sets the Northwestern career rushing touchdown record, though, with 36. More in the Big Ten, Iowa and Michigan State. Talk about fantastic performances. You'll be talking about this all day, Rodney. Herb Haygood here at one point, 7 catches, 100 yards. This led to a T.J. Duckett touchdown run that made it 7-0. After a punt, Smoker hits a tight end, Chris Baker. He's going in for a 1st down, and it leads to this. Smoker to Charles Rogers, touchdown, 14-0. After an Iowa touchdown, made it 14-7. Smoker to Haygood, and he went back and got this.
Oh, he did. He goes up nicely, pulls this one in. His Michigan State offense is really starting to take off. Duckett running the bar hard. Charlie Rogers catching the ball. Michigan State should be in control, but the special teams, another block punt, 5 already this season.
28-21. We showed you when we were doing the cut-ins as well in SportsCenter in-game that Haygood had a 100-yard kickoff return right after that last touchdown, so 28-21. Surprise, surprise, Texas trying to avoid the Sooner hangover, taking on Oklahoma State. Chris Sims trying to get it going, but it's Aso Pogai to Rashawn Woods. That was a 12-play, 65-yard drive. They just marched down the field on Texas.
Yeah, a little bit of hangover left over for Texas to start this ball game. They didn't get it done initially, but then they got it rolling with their defense and their running game.
There you go, Oklahoma State with the lead there. Texas ball on the 1. Chris Sims put it through, made it 10-7. Here's Chris Sims again. This just in. Brock Edwards from the prototype puts it there. It's under a little pressure. He always got Major Applewhite there after the disappointment of last week. But right now, Texas does have the lead 17-10. I mentioned on that first drive, Oklahoma State had a 3rd and 12, they had a 3rd and 10, and that touchdown pass was a 3rd down play. But this is a team that normally Texas will dominate. We talk about this game. You can talk about Florida State, Miami, because now Florida State's showing that, hey, this one's not over yet.
Well, yeah, really. You look at that Miami game, and Florida State really has no business being in that game at all. Miami in control of that. The thing Florida State's going to have to do, they got to find a way to get pressure on Dorsey. They've only been rushing 3-man, no pressure on him. You look at the Texas game, it's the running game, not the passing for the Texas offense. Cedric Benson doing a nice job running the ball for them.
We'll have an update on that game. Meantime, we're at the half. Purdue and Michigan. Marquise Walker with a sensational first half, nearly 200 yards in all-purpose yardage. Purdue and Michigan at the half. It's 14-10. Rodney and I back after this.
Sports Center in-game. This halftime report is presented by Saturn. Now with 2 distinctively different car lines, the L Series and the S Series.
Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore back here with you. Saturn halftime report. Let's get you back. Florida State knocking on the door. William McRae going through the door. And suddenly we got a ball game. Of course, we missed extra points, but it's still 21-13 now at the half.
And that was after a controversial 3rd down holding call on Miami when they had picked off the pass. Florida State gets the score. Controversial.
So at the half, let's go to Alabama and Ole Miss. Alabama's first drive of the game. It's 2nd and 10. They got on Eli Manning. Tyler Watts taking this for a 22-yard run. He'll get this to the 6-yard line. It would set up a touchdown run. Same drive, got a 1st and goal. Watts, quarterback, still in there. Got it to Ahmad Galloway. And Galloway going into the score. And Crimson Tide taking a 7-0 lead. Beginning of the second quarter, here's Eli Manning. His old man beat the Crimson Tide way back when. This to Jason Armstead would lead to a 3-yard Ole Miss touchdown from there. He took it all the way to the 3, punched it in. So Alabama and Ole Miss. Alabama's won all 4 of the previous meetings in Oxford, and we're tied up here 14-14 in the second quarter.
Well, Alabama finally starting to get that offense going. You're seeing Tyler Watts do the thing he does best, run the ball. That's opening up that Alabama offense.
Florida and Auburn coming up later tonight here on ESPN. Gators have changed a little bit. They started off the year by crushing some weak teams. Now they're crushing some very good teams, beating Mississippi State and LSU by a combined score over the last 2 weeks of 96-15. For Auburn, meantime, the only unbeaten team left in the Western Division of the SEC. Let's get up to date on this game with Adrian Karsten.
The Gators have come to the Plains with one thought in mind, to prove that they are the clear-cut #1 team in the nation. And for the first time in a long time, they come with a clear-cut #1 quarterback. Rex Grossman leads a team that leads the nation in total offense. Now, in conversation with Steve Spurrier, it seems that he has more confidence in the quarterback than he's had since Danny Werfel won the Heisman Trophy back in 1996. He says, if you're going to win the national championship, you've got to win big on the road. It seems that both coach and quarterback are in the groove.
I think there is such a thing as in the zone. You just feel supremely confident. If you feel you can do no wrong, then you probably will do no wrong. And you know, just as long as you can make your reads and everything right, then as a quarterback, confidence is the biggest thing to help you play better.
Rex was making some good choices, good decisions. A lot of times you'll have a good play on, but maybe the quarterback's looking somewhere else, or this, that, and the other. And the other day, Rex seemed to be looking in the right area and seeing the defense and pitching to the right guy.
Now, Auburn has not beaten Florida since 1994. To a man, you talk to the Tiger players and they say that playing well just isn't going to be good enough. They're going to have to take advantage of any Florida mistake. They will also take the help of 82,000 loyal fans. We'll see you tonight.
Adrian, we will indeed. Mississippi State and LSU, they didn't look bad until they played Florida. Then they looked bad. So how good is this team?
This is a pretty good football team. Florida, I think, is playing as well as anyone this time of the year right now. Think about their 3 wide receivers, though. That makes all the difference. Remember 96, they had Hilliard, Green, and Anthony. Well, this year they've got 3 big-time players, and Taylor Jacobs, the 3rd wide receiver, makes all the difference in this offense. It's hard to defend those guys that way.
We'll have that game for you here on ESPN, 7:45 Eastern Time. Meantime, right here, some speed in this game as well. Stuart Schweigert had the pickoff. Bellamy, though, went and got him. We're at the half. 14-10 Michigan. We'll be back.
is Sports Center in Game, the Saturn Halftime Report.
All right, folks, quick look at baseball. Braves are already in the National League Championship Series. To look ahead, Braves are 3-3 against the Cardinals in the regular season. They were 2-5 against the Diamondbacks. So Diamondbacks and Cards right now in a rain delay. Albie Lopez and Bud Smith. A rain delay. You're going to help the Diamondbacks. You can get Schilling and Johnson back out there. Again, Arizona and St. Louis right now. Rain delay in this one. Later on today in the American League, Mariners and Indians. It'll be Aaron Seeley and CC Sabathia. Ichiro, 4 for 7 in the first 2 games of this series. That's tied up. That's 4 Eastern time. And the 3-time defending champions, no losses to give. Yankees and A's. New York has lost its last 6 games in Oakland. Oakland has won 17 in a row at home. Haven't lost at home since late August. That's the night game. Mike Messina and Barry Zito. Rodney and I coming back right after this. We're at the half. More college football when we return.
Saturn is working to keep our economy strong in jobs, in commerce, and in spirit. As part of that effort, we're providing interest-free financing on every new coupe, sedan, and wagon we make. Come visit your Saturn retailer and keep America rolling.
Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for when you feel the heat. Get refreshment down cold. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
By expecting a lot from us, we could accomplish things. He didn't have any limitations on us.
He's not the only person in the room teaching. He's always willing to learn.
Challenged me to think, helped to focus my dreams.
They're always willing to help you. He's willing to put in the time. Yeah, I definitely look up to him.
This is Sports Center in Game, the Saturn Halftime Report.
Rodney Woody Dantzler is in the 2,000-4,000 club, the first ever to do so in the ACC. Here, the pass to Ben Hall, 2,000 yards rushing, over 4,000 yards passing, first ever in ACC history. It's 21-17 at the half.
Yeah, Woodshed climbing his way back into the Heisman race if he can get his team another victory.
So 21-17 at the half in that ball game. Meantime, other scores to get you up to date on Virginia and North Carolina, another game in the wide open ACC. Talk about Florida State struggling so far this year. Opens things up a bit right now. 7-0 right now. That game in the first quarter.
What a great turnaround for North Carolina, starting 0-3. John Bunting has gotten his team back into contention in the ACC. It is wide open.
Syracuse has beaten Pittsburgh 10 straight times. Right now, Pittsburgh leads at 10-7 at the half. Dwight Freeney has had at least 1 sack in 14 straight games going into this one. Antonio Bryant is off to a very good start.
Yeah, Troy Nunes was knocked out of that game in the first quarter and came back in the second quarter after the offense continued to struggle without him.
And Wake Forest and Duke get back to the ACC second quarter, 28-0 already in that game. Again, that's in the second quarter. Get you ready for your NFL Sunday, NFL Countdown tomorrow. Chris Berman and the gang, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a conversation with Peyton Manning. I'm partial to Eli Manning. Myself. Well, the highlights of that after this game, indeed, yes. Right here, Brandon Hance, let loose, and getting rocked. 14-10 at the half. Stephen Todd will have the call in the second half. Enjoy, everybody.
Back at the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we are at halftime with number 12, Michigan leading 16th-ranked Purdue 14-10. Hi, everybody. Steve Levy alongside Todd Christensen. Thoughts from Dave Ryan in just a bit after inhaling hot dogs. We're able to talk about this first half. Purdue got off to the great start, had the 7-0 lead,
and then ran into all sorts of penalties. And then, of course, Michigan made their share of mistakes as well.
Really did. It's been an interesting ebb and flow to the game. You mentioned that, of course, when they had the turnover, what could have been a touchdown and a tying score. Instead, the defense holds them. They kick a field goal. Then you think that Michigan's driving. They're going to make something happen. Schweigert with the huge interception. Now, all of a sudden, you say, well, look at that. Purdue's going to score. Oh, no, wait. Oh, no, block field goal. They're going to score. No, wait. Great hustle. I mean, it's been an ebb and flow. Very interesting, this game, and very unpredictable.
And a 4-point game at the break as we check our Mountain Dew Code Red first half statistics.
Well, of course, those turnovers have been big for Michigan, but the defense has really stood up. But yards after the catch is a big deal where Marquise Walker is concerned. As now we go down to Dave Ryan.
All right, Todd and Steve, thanks a lot. The Rhinos college football scene this week has to do with Purdue's Aiken Adele and his great footwork. It turns out growing up near London, England, Aiken Adele was a great soccer player, like some other pro athletes who also played soccer in their younger days. Hakeem Olajuwon attributes his great footwork on the basketball court. Same goes for the Nigerian nightmare Christian Okoye, the great KC Chief. His burst across the line of scrimmage. Soccer had a lot to do with that, he says. Aiken Adele used that foot speed, guys, to track down Brandon Williams on the block field goal at the end of the first half, keeping this a 14-10 game. Todd's got more on that great play by Adele, keeping this one close.
Take a look at where Adele is. He is the up back right here. He is the man on the other side of the ball when the thing gets kicked. Now, if he loafs here, this is going to be a touchdown for Williams. As you can see, Williams pick up the ball. Ben Smith, the holder, is going to make a diving attempt right there. He can't do it, but Adele pursues him far enough. There's Smith. Here's the kick. It goes the other way. For all intents and purposes, Michigan really should have had a touchdown there. But give credit to number 13, Adele, for hustling on that play and keeping it only a 4-point difference.
Opening kickoff to start half number 2. It's Todd Howard, and it's a fumble, and I believe Michigan has recovered. We showed you on the first half statistics 3 Wolverine turnovers, and yet they still lead by 4. They're able to hang on to this one and will keep the football 1st and 10.
Stuart Schweigert is one to put his helmet in there to knock it loose, but the Maize and Blue are able to recover. Interesting game track. Remember, Hance dribbled this before he gets it to Stratton for the touchdown. Michigan responds with Marquise Walker making a terrific adjustment on a terrifically thrown ball by John Navarre. And, of course, the turnovers have plagued Michigan. Bellamy drops the ball there. And remember earlier, Marquise Walker also had a key fumble. So Purdue has been opportunistic.
Anthony Jordan made the pivotal play on the special teams for Michigan there, recovering that loose football. On 1st and 10, they hand it off to Askew, and he stumbles ahead to 3 yards or so. We point out the fact how Purdue was fortunate at the end of that first half. I mean, hasn't that been the story of the Purdue season, being fortunate? They had the miracle win at Minnesota, and then a game last week against Iowa. They didn't play particularly well. They still came out with the win, and they're 4-0.
Still trying to figure out who said it. I've heard that there's Leo DeRocher. I've heard Eddie Stanky. I've heard George Halla. Somebody said it's better to be lucky than good. And certainly in the case of Purdue thus far, that's been the case.
On 2nd down and 7, Navarre skips one out into the flat looking for Walker, and it was too low. Joe Tiller had a good line about, being fortunate. He said, hey, other teams are in a position to get lucky and don't win. We do. We are properly prepared to win. And a lot of that is about Tiller and his coaching staff.
Well, again, one of the things that we pointed out with regards to the young quarterback for Purdue is that even though he does not have the scintillating statistics of his predecessor, Drew Brees, he does make plays, and Joe Tiller was very cognizant of that as he chews on a couple of nuts.
Here's 3rd down and 7.
He's laid back, isn't he?
What a contrast between the head coaches here in this football game. Here's Navarre on the 3rd down, and the pass looked like it was dropped. Would not have been enough for the 1st down anyway, but Bill Seymour could not hang on. Joe Odom had the cover.
Really lucky to get it back because it appeared that Odom, without the body of Seymour, would have picked that off and gone in. You mentioned the fact that Odom had improved himself considerably over the summer physically. His difficulty has been his inability to stay healthy. He's already been dinged this year with a couple of concussions.
Hayden Epstein is back to punt at his own 6. Seth Morales from his own 40 will look to get a return. Epstein gets it away. Spiraling kick forces Morales back to the 29. And Morales out to the 39, and there is a flag. Bill Seymour made the special teams hit a 50-yard punt by Epstein.
From my vantage point, it appears it's going to be another block in the back, and that's going to be a dozen penalties for Purdue. They just can't keep doing that. They're just shooting themselves in the foot.
No foul on the play. The block was on the side.
Hey, Dave Ryan, that's the best news Joe Tiller has heard all day.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. He told me walking off the field at halftime, there's no way they can continue with this pace of penalties and have a chance to win here at the Big House. They've got to be much more penalty-free, he said, in this second half. More discipline, especially on offense.
Look at Purdue, the 5 seasons under Tiller, and the previous 10 seasons, there is no comparison.
Even the 19 seasons prior to Joe Tiller being there, they went to 1 bowl game since he's been there 4 straight.
Hance fakes the handoff and throws and completes across midfield is Taylor Stubblefield, and he is forced out of bounds at the 42 of Michigan.
Nice misdirection there with the play, something they had not done in the first half, and as we pointed out, Stubblefield's the guy that he likes. A little bit emotional, though, the 165-pounder from Yakima, Washington.
19-yard gain on this play.
Short out route, they had him in man coverage. Cato June slips down, and that enables Stubblefield to get the extra yardage.
The redshirt freshman is their leading receiver with 26 catches, but has yet to find the end zone. Montrell Lowe is stumbling across the 40, down to the 37-yard line. Larry Foote and Cato June brought him down.
Steve, noted bon vivant and offensive coordinator supreme Marty Aronoff pointed out to me, as we chuckle a little bit, that's actually our side decision, pointed out that one of the things that neither team has done well in the first half is establish the running game. Both teams want to at least do that, because if they can do that, certainly that's going to help them in the passing game. Neither team terribly effective, with the exception of Askew periodically as well as Hance.
Hance off the low. There's a flag down as Lowe turns the corner on the right side. But again, there's a flag down. He's very close to the first down marker. Be an illegal formation.
Well, that officially is the 12th penalty, and you can see Tiller throwing up his hands in disgust.
Illegal formation offense. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. 5 yards, second down.
You mentioned that Joe Tiller said his wide receivers aren't terribly physical. Take a look at Stanford. This is the play before throwing the cut block, and clearly Jackson doesn't like it. Part of the game.
12th penalty. 75 yards, negative penalty yardage against Purdue. This is second down and 11. Hance with time, the pump fake. And now rolling and running out of bounds, and he is hit there by Todd Howard. Got Victor Hobson up in the air at the pump.
One of the things that's happening here for Michigan is they can afford the luxury of having spies on Hance. And for the uninitiated, what that is either a defensive lineman or a linebacker that can fixate completely on the quarterback. In that case, Foote was just eye to eye with Hance. You see the rush yards of Hance versus Michigan. That's what we pointed out earlier. Neither team has been running terribly well. And again, another third down, Steve.
3rd and 9. Low snap, but Hance has it. Under pressure immediately, spins away from tacklers. There is a flag down. Hance making people miss. We'll see which way the flag goes, but he would have enough for the first down.
It's going to come back, and Hance is frustrated by it because he made a tremendous effort to escape everybody. The referee is right there. He's the one that makes the call.
That's a baker's dozen, my friend.
It is indeed. Triskaidekaphobia. Don't be afraid of 13. But there it is.
13, Aiken Adele is watching from the sideline and not pleased with what his offense is doing right now.
Holding offense. 10 yards, previous spot. 3rd down.
And Dan Marino and Kurt Warner. I guess it's a little bit too oblique a reference, isn't it?
Would have been an 11-yard run by Brandon Hance. That has to be frustrating.
Well, it is particularly, and again, what happens is you see that the defensive lineman goes down, and I believe that was Murskowski again. No, I'm sorry. It was Kelly Butler.
3rd and 19 now for Hance. All sorts of time, steps up and throws and completes. Loose football, though. It's fumbled by Seth Morales, and Michigan has it. Morales would have had enough for the first down. So penalties, turnovers plaguing Purdue. It's the first time the Boilermakers cough it up. Brandon Williams Williams able to recover the fumble by Morales.
And what's interesting about this is at the end of the catch, he's just going to get down. He gets down right there. He is stripped by Foot, who makes a huge play. Williams recovers. Turnover, Wolverines.
Last year's meeting in West Lafayette, Purdue against Michigan. The Wolverines would score on their first 4 possessions. They led 28-10 at halftime. Purdue outscored Michigan 22-3 in the second half. Travis Dorsch missed a 32-yarder with 2:11 left, but with 4 seconds left, hit from 33 yards away. Purdue a 1-point winner, 32-31. Yesterday we asked Lloyd Carr, what do you remember about the game?
I recall the last play. That's it.
That's all he remembered, the last play, and of course it was the deciding play as B.J. Askew is the ball carrier. Landon Johnson to stop, and we send it back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, Oklahoma State putting up a good fight against Texas. Here it's only 17-10, but in the final 30 seconds of the half, Chris Sims to Roy Williams. That's a touchdown after a botched kickoff. Texas gets the ball back. Sims, 1 play. Roy Williams again. 2 touchdowns in the final 24 seconds of the half. It's 31-10. Steve, Todd.
The difference a week makes for Texas. Welcome you back here. 3 minutes into the second half. Askew, the ball carries very close to the first down. So he talked about Lloyd Carr did last year's matchup, and it was interesting because he didn't say he would use last year's game as motivation for this year's game, Todd.
Well, I think that's wisdom because he makes the point that they're just completely different teams. Last year they were offensively dominated. He felt as if they had to score 35, 40 points a game last year to win. This year they're defensively dominated, and I think that that makes sense. So much changes in the course of 12 months.
Let's see. There's a first down. And the indication. And they do have the first down. First down and 10. Here's Navarre rolling to his right. And connecting with Benny Japrou. Antoine Rogers brought him down. And something else that you harken back to last year's game, finish was such a big word, and everyone was talking for Michigan. Finish every drill, finish every play, finish every practice hard. And some of that was based on the reason they didn't finish off Purdue last year.
Well, it certainly was. You mentioned the 28-10 lead at halftime, and of course they had just been up and down the field on Purdue's defense. Brock Spack, whatever he said to him at halftime, worked out because they did a great job in the second half. And I think there's going to be appears that there's a substitution penalty somewhere.
And the way things are going today, it would be against Purdue. Let's see. As the officials talk it over. And we look back to that last meeting a season ago.
Substitution came in after the huddle broke. He's allowed 3 seconds before we have a substitution.
Get a good explanation there.
William Lemonnier, the official, the referee rather, we're seeing an awful lot of today. And I think that game last year was really pivotal for Purdue in terms of establishing themselves as a Rose Bowl contender. Yes, they went to the Rose Bowl, but they hadn't beaten anybody big up to that time. That was a huge win for that program.
Here's Navarre throwing. Perfect pass to Marquise Walker. There's good coverage by Ashanti Woodyard, but he couldn't do anything about it until after the catch was made. Miami still doing a number on Florida State, Brian Kenny.
Yes, Steve, Seminoles made it close. They made it an 8-point game at the half, but the opening drive for the Hurricanes, 6 plays, 67 yards. Dorsey to Andre Johnson, 28-13 right now. Former offensive coordinator for Florida State, Mark Richt, has a lead right now for Georgia at 7-0 on Vandy.
First and 10 from the 45. Navarre hands off to B.J. Askew. He's got some time to make some moves, show you some fancy footwork there. He's down to the 35 where Craig Terrell finally brought him down.
I find it interesting, Steve, that they talked about the great competition at the tailback position during the summer. But up to this point, if I'm not mistaken, I have not seen anything of Walter Cross or Chris Perry. And if indeed I have, it's been for a very short period of time.
Perry has 1 carry in the game. And that went for a -1 yard. Walter Cross, I do not believe, is rushed the football. Marty waves me off, so no, he hasn't. On 2nd down and 1, Askew just barely getting that 1 yard. Hit hard by Landon Johnson, but not in time to get him shy of the marker.
See, with the exception of the opening drive that Purdue had that produced their touchdown, there have not been too many time-consuming drives. That's what Michigan is trying to do at this point, as we're under 10 minutes here in the 3rd quarter.
Askew scored his first collegiate touchdown as a freshman against the Boilermakers. It's a 10-yard run in the 4th quarter. He's on the board here today. Pitch to the right side. Askew will try it again with some running room. Lowers the shoulder and bangs down to the 25-yard line. They establish the run here. Clemson. Let's get an update from Brian Kenny. Brian?
Yeah, Steve, we'll go to Clemson and NC State. And Woody Dantzler trying to open things up here in the second half underway. Dantzler, nice touch, wide open. Travis Zachary is there in for the touchdown. It's now 28-17. James Mungro had a 56-yard touchdown run, so Syracuse now leads Pittsburgh 21-10.
Brian, thank you. You said it a lot better than I did. Chris Perry checks in the game, and there's Perry, the ball carrier. Forget about it. Touchdown, Chris Perry, wide open, made it look easy. 26 yards, untouched for the Michigan touchdown, but there is a flag on the play.
But just as we talked about having not seen Chris Perry, he's able to take advantage of what appeared to be an all-out blitz. The hole is monstrous, but it's going to be for naught. Taylor from end zone. Here's the blitz. The middle linebacker's the only one there. And once he's passed, that's it. Schweigert out on a wide receiver in the safety position. Perry in for the touchdown, but as we pointed out, it's for naught. We've been used to seeing those arms circled for motion against Purdue, but this time it's Michigan. You can see the look on Perry's face. He's certainly disappointed.
Purdue's had 13 penalties. Michigan has had 4, and yet the Michigan one is probably the most costly to this point, wiping out the touchdown. Here's Navarre. They dump it off to Askew. Had to go up high to get it, and then stumbled down on the way back down to the ground. Landon Johnson was in the neighborhood.
And an interesting 3rd down conversion coming up. If for whatever reason they can't move the ball, you're looking at about a 45-yard field goal, and Brock Spack, defensive coordinator for Purdue, has had his hands full today. He makes the point in a very cogent one at that, regarding the idea that the defense is on the field more than most because of the nature of the offense, that what Purdue does. So you have to be stalwart to be on the defensive side of the Boilermakers.
It's in about 15 to 20 more snaps per game. They're on the field than anybody else in the conference. Marquise Walker, who else on the receiving end? He's down to the 15-yard line. First down, gain of 13 on the play. Ashante Woodard on the stop.
One of the things here with regards to, I'm sorry, Steve, one of the things with regards to Marquise Walker is the great coaching that he has had here. And of course, Eric Campbell, the wide receiver coach for Michigan, has been able to coach his share of great ones over the last couple of years in Michigan. Get a chance to see Eric Campbell. We will document his resume after this play.
Walker, 5 catches, 116 yards. That was a gain of 13 on the play. Hand off to Chris Perry. Down to the 7-yard line. Aiken Adele, the stop, and send you back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, you make the call. Florida State, Miami. Chris Ricks is going back down 28-13. Watch, is this a pass or a fumble? Arm goes forward, but the ball is stripped. The ball sits there. Jonathan Vilma picks it up for Miami, going back in. It's ruled a fumble, and this will be a touchdown for the Hurricanes. 35-13. Steve, Todd?
Florida State hasn't lost at home since 91. It's a span of 54 games. The last team to win there was Miami. As Chris Perry powers through down to the 6. Brady Doe stopped him.
As promised, we were talking about Eric Campbell, the receiver coach for Michigan. Wide receiver coach. Take a look at the number of great players. Amani Toomer,
Mercury Hayes. Of course, Charles Woodson made some contributions on offense, as did Ty Streets, and of course last year David Terrell now with the Chicago Bears. And of course their marquee star, no pun intended, is that man right there, Marquise Walker.
He's standing next to him on 3rd and 1. Try to run it in, and Chris Perry has enough for the first down. Bring up a 1st and goal.
Well, Eric Campbell earned his way. Sometimes you ask yourself the question, how do people get here? And take a look at the resume of Eric Campbell. Some of the places that he has been: Ball State and Syracuse, Naval Academy. And he was a student coach here 13 years ago. He certainly earned his stripes, and of course the tremendous alumni for Michigan at the wide receiver position.
Some would say, how do you know if you're a great coach if you have all those great talented players at that position? But it takes a great coach to coach great talent. I believe that.
And you never know when you recruit them or when they're freshmen as to how good they're going to be.
On 1st and goal, Perry again. In the first half, Michigan had 22 yards rushing. This quarter, they have now 46 yards rushing. What a difference. Maybe wearing down that fine Purdue defense.
Steve, let's give some credit to Tony Pape, Jonathan Goodwin, Kurt Anderson, Dave Putrzello, Solomon, and of course Bill Seymour, the tight end. The offensive line for Michigan has really asserted itself in this drive, been much more physical. That's the reason why they're down the field as well as they have been.
This is the 14th play of this drive, Todd. Coming up on 5.5 to play in the 3rd quarter.
I thought that was interesting. Did you see that Askew came in the game and Perry says, no, I got it.
And Perry does have it, but he does not have a touchdown. Not yet. Sean Phillips stopping him shy of the goal line.
Well, Perry is no shrinking violet at 235, so it's not as if they need number 35 to jump over the pile, but nonetheless, Askew is coming into the game. I don't know whether it's fullback or tailback. We'll soon see.
Perry was sidelined with a knee injury against Illinois. Got back in the lineup a week ago at Penn State. Carried the ball just 4 times for 12 yards. So there's no way he's 100%. But he's been very effective here. Perry out, DJ Askew in. This is 3rd and goal from the 1. The band. David Epstein will come on to attempt the extra point.
Remember, this drive began after the Seth Morales fumble. A drive of 15 plays and 71 yards. It took up 7 minutes and 48 seconds.
Homecoming here in Michigan, and it's going well for the Maize and Blue. Homecoming here in Ann Arbor, and everyone comes back home. Even the 60-year-old male cheerleaders getting it done on homecoming in Ann Arbor. It's the 5th time Purdue is Michigan's homecoming opponent. We asked Lloyd Carr about that choice.
You know, in the old days, we used to have, the athletic director always made sure we had a game we could win. And but the problem today's football, and particularly in the Big Ten, there's nobody out there that you can schedule that's going to be a can't miss. So that's just the way this conference is.
Lloyd Carr has never experienced losing a homecoming game here in Michigan. He is 6-0. And his Wolverines in good shape here as Epstein puts the ball in the air. Dante Farrell. Oh, he is pounded down. The hardest hit of the game. We'll revisit that after we visit with Brian Kenny.
Steve, get you back to Florida State, Miami here, 35-13. Looks like all is lost, but Chris Ricks going to Tolman Gardner. Now watch this. The catch. He brings back the football. The turn, averting the defensive backs, and he's still without the angle, goes in for the touchdown. Beautifully done. Meantime, Cornhuskers are underway. We're in the first quarter, 7-0 Nebraska.
All right, Brian, thank you. Here's first down and 10. Low snap. Hance recovers and throws, and that one is incomplete. Taylor Stubblefield, the intended target. Brody Killian made the big stop on special teams. The senior from Dearborn, Michigan. Let's take a look and a listen. Killian, indeed.
That would be Killian's maize and blue as opposed to Killian's red, right?
2nd down and 10. Montrell Lowe. Some running. That might be Lowe's biggest gain of the afternoon. He's got the 1st down, and it is. But there is a flag on the play. What else is new when Purdue's on the field with the football?
That face says unbelievable.
Penalty number 14 on the day for Joe Tiller and Purdue.
Dead ball, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the offense. It followed the 1st down, so after the 15-yard penalty, we have 1st and 10.
You know, it's one of those situations, Steve, where the wide receivers get into a bit of a fisticuff with the defensive back, and I'm sure that one of the frustrations for Tiller as he lamented the lack of physicality from his wide receivers. Why now? Why would they attempt to be physical now and headbutt somebody or take a swing and cost him 15 yards?
And Purdue doesn't play smash mouth offense. We visited last week. Here's Hance. Thought about passing it, and instead he'll take off. It'll be crunched down at the 20-yard line. Shanty Orr. Back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, Woody Dantzler having a tremendous day once again against North Carolina State. He is 7 for 20 in the air passing, 203 yards in the air. He's got nearly 100 yards rushing. There's another one, 35-17 in the 3rd quarter.
All right, Brian, thank you. Brandon Hance is taking the lick. Keeps on going, sort of like the Energizer Bunny. Iowa really went after him last week. He kept popping up. Hance so far today has taken a lot of hits. 15 carries, 34 yards, taking some more hits there. Montrell Lowe on the receiving end of the hit by Eric Brackens. You rarely hear a head coach say his quarterback is anything other than a tough guy. But Hance, they go on and on and on about his courage, his swagger, about how he's not intimidated in any way. And he certainly showed that in the 1st drive today, and he's shown it throughout. He's played a good ball game today.
Very dependent upon their quarterback in this offense. You don't have a choice. The quarterback cannot afford the luxury of an off day when you are the Purdue signal caller.
Hance sacked, brought down by Jake Freisinger. His 2nd sack of the day, 3rd for Michigan.
And you can see Hance back up and scream to the official that he thought there was some holding downfield. He can't understand why he didn't get called. Joe Tiller actually came on the field to argue the same point. Joe Tiller is livid that a penalty was not called against his whiteout on that side of the field, but nonetheless, another punt for Purdue.
High snap. Dorsch brought it down. Bouncing punt, Marquise Walker from the 40 line. Making some moves, and he's just across midfield, and that's where Michigan will take over. Joey Harris on the special team stop.
Dorsch with the low punt, and that means that they set up a great field position on the other side of midfield.
Purdue quarterback Brandon Hance on the phone with offensive coordinator Jim Chaney upstairs getting some advice. 21-10 game, Purdue down. We're joined by Brandon's mom, Terry, all the way from Los Angeles. First time you've had a chance to see Brandon in action. You saw some games last year, but he wasn't playing as a redshirt. Taking over for Drew Brees, are you surprised by all success?
I am, and I'm not. I truly believe in Brandon, and I'm just so excited to be here watching him. I'm really proud of him.
I was surprised a moment ago. You told me a lot of the West Coast schools, UCLA, USC, didn't recruit him heavily. He decided to come here to the Midwest. The right decision for him with that California swagger he's got?
Absolutely. I think it's all going to work out really well. It was just seemed like the right fit and the right decision for him. Football-wise, it's working out perfect.
He seems to play, Terry, with so much guts and courage out there. Is that something that goes back to his younger days? I know he was into jiu-jitsu and karate, things like that.
Yes. Brandon's always been, he's just always, the crowd is
really tough, right?
It's really, yes. No, very aggressive and absolutely just always determined to play and play hard.
Enjoy the rest of the second half.
Thank you very much.
Juggled and caught by B.J. Askew, and our thanks to Dave and Brandon Hance's mom. If she was not in attendance, we would only have 110,449 people at this football game. Truly the big house.
Yeah, but having said that, amidst that 110K plus, you'd have to say that that's arguably one of the proudest sitting there in the chair. Certainly to take the reins from somebody as accomplished as Drew Brees, arguably the best passer in Big Ten history, at center line.
Here's Navarre to throw. Able to connect with Askew. Just able to get back to the original line of scrimmage. And that's something the Purdue people talked about this week, that the shadow of Drew Brees, the shadow and the talk, is slowly disappearing. And they've worked an awful long way to get there, to get past that point. And it is disappearing just a bit with the improved play by Hance.
Really is, but again, that is a large shadow to overcome. And when you do well, everybody says it's the offense. In a lot of cases, when you do poorly, you said you're no Drew Brees. So in a lot of cases, that young man is in a no-win situation. But I would agree with you that he has come through quite well here early on in the season.
And that will do it. The end of quarter number 3. We'll come back to the fourth quarter. Michigan up by a score of 21-10. Number 12 beats number 16 on this Saturday afternoon. Alongside Todd Christensen, Dave Ryan, Steve Levy from Ann Arbor, Michigan. We open up quarter number 4. Michigan leading Purdue 21-10. On homecoming, 101st homecoming in Michigan history. Hayden Epstein off the low snap. Boots in the air. Seth Morales, the fair catch. And Purdue will start 1st and 10 from their own 15-yard line.
Steve, in the third quarter, Michigan had the ball for just a little bit more than 11 minutes of that quarter. And the result is that Purdue's offense is a bit out of sync. See the rush yards they were able to put together and take that time off the clock. And Brandon Hance, the Purdue offense, needs to get going.
First and 10 from the 15. Hance, the top Purdue rusher. This is the third time a low snap today out of the shotgun. We've had some problems there. Tim Stratton able to hang on for the gain of 5. Let's send it back to SportsCenter in game. Brian Kenny.
Steve, get to the SEC. It's Alabama and Ole Miss, and Tyler Watts here with a 17-14 lead. Looking for Jeremy Drummond, got him in the end zone, so Crimson Tide now has a 10-point lead, 24-14 in the third quarter. And NC State with a touchdown, so not over yet. It's 35-23. That's the third.
Brian, thank you. A rare 2nd and 3 for Purdue today. Hance with all sorts of times, loaded up and fired, and connecting with Taylor Stubblefield. Do not count Hance and Purdue out just because they're down 11 in the fourth quarter.
When you take a look at the fourth quarter production, remember he's about a 56% guy, and his touchdowns and interceptions are pretty close in terms of over the season, but then in the fourth quarter he has risen to the occasion. Nearly 70% in terms of his throws. You can see the touchdown to interception ratio right there.
I'm laughing because I was circling my monitor, which of course my job, dang it, of course doesn't work. Only when Todd circles his monitor does it actually show up. There's another low snap on the shotgun, and because of it, this time it really hurts Hance and Purdue. Dan Rumashek brought him down. Larry Foote had the pressure as well. 4th sack today.
That makes 22 sacks on the season for Michigan. Last year, they didn't even have that total in their entirety. And you're right, that hesitation right there cost him. He heads up the field and actually runs into the sack, but didn't have much of a choice.
So Gene Murkowski there in the center. Had some real problems on the snaps out of the shotgun. We'll watch for that again. 2nd and 13 now. Get a good look at the junior from Cleveland. The problem there is they put it on the ground. Draw play to Montrell Lowe. Brings it back to the 33-yard line. ESPN's exclusive game track checks out the first 3 quarters of this game.
Well, of course, Marquise Walker now with over 200 yards in all-purpose yardage. He has been a star for Michigan. But John Navarre hasn't been too bad either, as you can see those numbers approaching 200 yards. Of course, B.J. Askew
has been the workhorse during that third quarter. Long drives taking time off the clock. And once again, another third down conversion coming up for Purdue.
Third down and 9. Snap is perfect. And here's Hance across the middle, completing for the short gainer to A.T. Simpson.
Well, the thinking there is that A.T. Simpson at 6'4", 230 pounds would be able to break a tackle and get the first down. Instead, he was not able to do it. And that means that Purdue is going to have to punt. Steve, remember in the first series, they had 4 straight third down conversions, 4 for 4. Since that time, Purdue has been 2 for 12 in third down conversions. That's a great job by the Michigan defense.
Here's Dortch under some pressure. Marquise Walker with 21, trying to turn it upfield. And he's bumped out at 34 by Joey Harris. A.T. Simpson had 25 catches last year, but that's his first catch of this season for Purdue. He's been trying to stay positive, stay in the rotation. He's a senior that has contributed over the years, but right now that was his first catch. He was well shy of the first down mark.
Part of the reason is he is not quite as quick as some of the others, but you can see he's certainly large enough to make something happen, and that's what everybody's looking for now. They're looking for the bigger bodies.
On first down and 10, the 29 for Michigan. LeVar hands off to Chris Perry, trying the right side. He's met at the line of scrimmage. Stopped by Antoine Rogers, the first Purdue defender to hit him. We send it back to Brian Kenny, Sports Center in game.
Steve, it's all working for Miami. Watch this, going for a field goal. It's not going to quite work out. Botched, almost snuffed. Freddie Capshaw brought it back in. The holder, it's normally the punter, throws it in for a touchdown. Incredible. All Hurricanes, 42-20. That's in the third quarter. Also Big East. Syracuse now leading Pittsburgh 28-10. Steve, top.
Steve, I'm guessing that Miami's going to get the #1 ranking back.
I'm guessing Pittsburgh's in big trouble. Here's Perry trying the left side off the handoff from John Navarre. And more along those lines. Here's Dave.
Interesting road, Steve, John Navarre to be a starting quarterback here in Michigan. He was recruited by the Wolverines, but he didn't want to sit behind Drew Henson for 3 years, so instead wanted to go to Northwestern. But then Gary Barnett's departure to Colorado ended that. Wisconsin recruited him, comes out of Cuddy, Wisconsin, to be a defensive end. He wanted to play quarterback. So he came to Michigan, redshirted a year, and then lo and behold, the preseason last year, Drew Henson breaks his foot, and he started the first 4 games. Now as a sophomore, he's the man here in Ann Arbor.
Played very well the first 2 games last season, struggled in games 3 and 4. He's been just shy of outstanding so far this season. Marquise Walker on the receiving end of that pass. Jaquez Green made the stop. Navarre had an incredible game. Well, throughout, he's had a bunch of incredible games, passing for over 200 yards in 4 of the first 5 games this season. And you see the touchdown numbers to this point.
And it's interesting, too, that he has the requisite empathy for the pass rushers. How many times do you hear that combination in high school? He's the quarterback and defensive end. That doesn't make much sense.
On first down and 10, see how much he's putting the ball up with an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter. Exactly. Hand off to Walter Cross. You ask for it, Todd, and you shall receive.
Well, again, I'm guessing at this point, number 8 has fresh legs. An All-American out of high school, rushed for over 5,000 yards in a high school in Maryland, and came to Michigan with the idea, thinking that he would be the man, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. He has a good attitude, making contributions. He's thrown a touchdown pass. He's a good pass catcher. That's what happens when that just goes to show the level of depth here in Ann Arbor.
Second down and 4. Get a good look at Walter Cross, the senior, Washington, Maryland. Cross will try it again, trying to pick a hole at the line of scrimmage. That didn't work out that well. Gilbert Gardner brought him down. Back to Navarre. We have found an area in which he is not an expert so far this season, punting. His first career punt a week ago went 22 yards. Lloyd Carr called it the worst he's ever seen. He said, I thought Brian Greasy was bad at punting, and then I watched Navarre.
Well, you'd figure with those dimensions, 6'6", 240 with the long body, maybe that's something he could do. But regardless of his inability to be the next Ray Guy, that man right there, Carr, is extremely high on this youngster.
Third down and 2. Chris Perry, the ball carrier. And the second effort should get him the first down. And this knowledgeable Michigan crowd, they roar their approval.
You mentioned knowledgeable, and that's exactly right, Steve. Even though it was only a couple of yards, what a tremendous effort that was. He went through 3 different tackles. Take a look. A little bit deep in the backfield. It doesn't have the angle that he wants. Breaks 1 tackle there. I believe that was Mitrione. Then he goes right through the middle of both Brady Doe and Nico Kudavides. And the result is a first down. There's the first one that he breaks. That's number 40. That's Kevin Nesfield, who can't drop him down. As we mentioned, the 2 that just could not get him down. Great effort on the part of number 23.
You mentioned Eddie George before. Chris Perry's out of Fort Union Military in Virginia. Same place produced Eddie George. Going down the field is Navarre. Calvin Bell, the intended target, well overthrew him. Ashante Woodyard and Stuart Schweigert there had the double coverage. To send it back to Brian Kenny. Brian.
Steve, some scoring in West Virginia and Notre Dame. Julius Jones went in for the Fighting Irish first, then to Avon Coburn, a man to beat him 60 yards all the way back in. 2 touchdowns in the opening 2.5 minutes of play. 7-7 first quarter. Steve, got it?
All right, Brian, thank you.
So you resisted the temptation to say Avon Collins. Well done.
Perry, the ball carrier, and he lowers the shoulder as well. Looks like the Michigan running backs starting to put the hurt on the Purdue defenders here, wearing them down.
Well, as we pointed out in the third quarter, more than 11 minutes with the ball. And Steve, the running game for Michigan. This means we've got to give credit to Marty Aronoff. Dang it, but he was right. Where was going to establish the run, and that's what Michigan has done here in the second half.
Wait, Marty said whichever team is going to establish the run is going to win?
That's what he said.
I haven't heard that before. There's some genius right there.
No, he said in the second half.
Oh, second half. Third down and 3. Michigan 73 yards rushing this half alone. Here's Navarre. With time, and so much time. Calvin Bell juggled it not once but twice. Bottom line, though, able to hang on. Nico Kudavides forced them out. Great college football Saturday for it. Tomorrow we turn our attention to the pros. ESPN's NFL Countdown starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Join Chris Berman, Stuart Scott, Tom Jackson, Sterling Sharp, Steve Young, Chris Mortensen as they get you set for all the day's NFL games. NFL Countdown on ESPN reports all the games up to the minute, news, stats, and standings. Only one place to get it on your NFL Sunday morning. Draw play for Walter Cross. He's stopped by Landon Johnson.
Pretty good stick by number 47, the 210-pound outside backer.
Let's go down to the field and Dave.
All right, Steve, going to turn Anthony Carter, the Michigan legend, around. Here we go, ready to go. Student section giving us a little hard time. That's right, here in Ann Arbor. The Michigan legend, the all-time leader receiver, touchdown, all the yards, and he racked up. Do you have top memories coming back here at homecoming? It's got to be special for you.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It had to be the Indiana game, which the catch that I made when the score was tied 21-21. So that's a fun memory that I have. Also, the punt return against Northwestern, the first time I had a touchdown.
Marquise Walker is doing some great things for Michigan. If he continues on this pace, he might just break your career reception record. What are your thoughts on him as a receiver?
That's all fine and dandy. Records are meant to be broken, and it's good that somebody had set them. And if he does it, that's fine and dandy. But, I'm just a big fan. That's all, no matter who's catching and whoever breaking the record. I'm just a big Michigan fan.
Typical Michigan game, right? Dominate the clock in the second half. TOP, time of possession, grind out a victory.
Hey, as long as we win, and that's okay with me. But, you think Coach Schambeckler is coaching the game. But unfortunately, this Coach Carr, who likes to throw the ball a lot, and I would love to have played for him as a head coach, but I played for both, which is all good, too.
Guys, he's down in South Florida working on the golf handicap. About a 13 now, Steve.
All right, Dave, Anthony, thank you. Marquise Walker now 28 catches shy of breaking Anthony Carter's record.
Interesting that you mentioned Bo Schembechler. Yesterday when we were visiting with the coaches, Bo Schembechler happened to walk into the meeting, and he said to Lloyd Carr, why don't you learn how to get, in some words that we can't say, get the running game going. Well, certainly that's what's happened here in the second half. You know what, I was interested listening to Anthony Carter. Just one time I want somebody to have that Calvin Murphy feeling regarding a record. He's about to break your records. How do you feel? And he has that stage line instead of saying, no, man, I want to stay in the book.
Understandable. Now politically correct, though, of course, is Bill Seymour's on the receiving end of that grab. It's only human nature to want to hang around in the record book. I understand that.
See, there's a big difference, and it actually looks like a football score here. Michigan 35, Purdue 14. That's not the score. That's the number of plays here in the second half. That's how many more offensive plays that Michigan has had. Once again, the Purdue defense on the field far too long.
Got to look at Hayden Epstein. Depending upon this third down conversion attempt, might have called on to attempt a chicken field goal. Here's 3rd and 4. Handoff to Perry. And it looks like he's just going to be short. See where they spot the football. And the crowd will be short of the first down. The crowd urging Michigan to go for it. If the crowd ever urged to kick a field goal, they never give you that. They always want you to go for it.
Well, I think that what Lloyd Carr might want to do as he looks at it is he might want to bleed the clock down to 1 second and call a timeout. But really, I think it's not a hard decision. I think that you kick here simply because of the fact that that's 2 touchdowns that they'd have to score in the last 5 minutes and plus. But then again, I don't know what I'm talking about is Hayden Epstein stays on the sidelines and Michigan's going to go for it.
See, Epstein wanted a chance. He was inching his way out onto the field, then came back. And as the play clock runs down, Michigan called timeout. Their first of this half. 5:47 to go here in the 4th. Michigan by 11.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by the United States Army, an army of one, and by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
Homecoming in Michigan doesn't bring back just former male cheerleaders, brings back former great head coaches. Here's Bo Schembechler, who's responsible for bringing Lloyd Carr here. Carr came to Michigan in 1980 as Bo's secondary coach. This is the 15th play of the drive coming up, and it will still come up. Michigan has already had another 15-play touchdown drive this half.
Dave Petrozzulo was a little bit anxious.
Prior to the snap, ball start offense. 5 yards, 4th down.
Brian Kenny, before we get the field goal attempt, to you.
And more with Miami against Florida State. Already with the comfortable 42-20 lead. Willis McGahee plunges in for the touchdown. That streak is going to be way over, 49-20. Look at Woody Dantzler, 21 for 25 in the air, over 200 yards passing, 164 yards rushing as well. 42-23 Clemson.
This will be a 26-yard field goal attempt for Hayden Epstein. His first field goal attempt of the day. And it comes with 5:47 to play in the 4th quarter. And Epstein is 1 for 1 on the afternoon. And Michigan has a 24-10 lead.
See, I was right. I told you they'd go for the field goal.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Everyone except Joe Tiller singing the blues on a day filled with penalties for Purdue.
Let's get ready to rock and roll on a 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball. Take me out to the crowd. I made some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if we never get back. So we'll root for the first place cubby.
Joe Tiller's not laughing now, but mentioned singing the blues. Got a chance to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, honoring Harry Carey, 7th inning stretch this past summer at Wrigley Field. As for Joe Tiller as a singer,
I can only tell you that I had many a Purdue person who saw that, who in unanimity suggested I should not give up my day job.
Joe Tiller won't be laughing about anything if this score holds up. He said, hey, we've had moments this season. We haven't had football games. That's been the story again today.
It really has, but they've come up against a superior opponent. Certainly Michigan is the best team they have played all year defensively. They've just been outstanding.
Hands out of the shotgun. He'll hand off to Joey Harris. And we expect to see more of Harris throughout this 4th quarter. He is their game breaker, their speed back. guy who can make the big play, which they haven't had all that many today. Our U.S. Army storyline from Ann Arbor. Marquise Walker has been among the stars, but the story for Purdue has to be the penalties and even 100 yards, Todd.
It really cost them on a number of occasions. We come back to Marquise Walker for just a second. It would appear that Michigan has discovered a new punt returner. This is the first time he's done it all year, Stephen. He's been unbelievable. He's already on the charts of one of the all-time single-game return yardage in the history of Michigan.
Possession numbers, Taylor Stubblefield on the receiving end of that short pass. And the Michigan defense are giving the short passes, well, for the rest of the day anyway. Less than 5 minutes to play here in the fourth. Here's Hance completing another short pass to Stubblefield. That'll add to his numbers. Charles Drake brought him down.
But I think you're right, Steve. They'll be content to do that. If they're going to be in 4- and 5-yard increments up the field, they would be content because the clock will run out. And with a 2-touchdown lead, Michigan can afford the luxury of a somewhat prevent defense.
Clock, as you know, in college football stops on first downs. Here's Hance stumbling away, not trying to beat a man, and steps out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Bring up a second down.
One of the differences that Joe Tiller pointed out between Brandon Hance and Drew Brees was that he felt as if Hance had more athletic ability. Certainly he's faster. He's a 4'6" guy on the 40 and he's shown great elusiveness throwing the ball, but you cannot expect to have the experience and the decision-making acumen that Brees had in just a short period of time in which Hance has been the quarterback for Purdue.
Second down and 5 from the gun. That pass is tipped away. Marlon Jackson got a hand. I guess I can quit saying Hance out of the shotgun. I should just say when they're under center. How many times? 5, 6 times maybe this afternoon?
Well, again, they want to enhance, no pun intended, this young man's abilities, and his abilities are best out of the gun. He's not a drop-back guy.
Interesting to point out, Joe Tiller told us this past Tuesday, he talked to Hance about just in case we pull you out, replace you. Doesn't mean we don't love you as much, you're not our leader, you're not our starting quarterback. Just wanted to properly prepare him. And that ball also knocked away by Marlon Jackson, having himself quite a defensive series. Because it was interesting, Hance, I guess, was a bad series away from being pulled a week ago. And Tiller, over the years, has found that's an important conversation to have with your quarterback prior to pulling him.
It's a great job by Jackson coming back against the swirl route. You saw the collision, Stubblefield coming to the outside, but Jackson right with it, batting the ball down.
4th and 5, and going for it here.
Ball was thrown behind Cedric Brown, and as a result, Michigan will take over on downs. And with the way their running attack is going, they can conceivably lead the rest of the clock. Joe Tiller is beleaguered by a lot of things that have happened today, but most of it is the fact that Michigan has played particularly well.
4-17 standing between Michigan and a win over Purdue here in Big Ten football from Ann Arbor. Michigan offensive coordinator Stan Parrish likes to show his quarterback's video in the film room. It's a clip reel. And John Navarre really enjoyed seeing that. It doesn't break down the last game or future opponents. It's for quarterbacks like Navarre. The video shows Brian Griese in the Rose Bowl back in '97, Tom Brady at the Orange Bowl, and a great game against Alabama, making big plays under pressure. The theme posted on the wall, guys, is never let them see you sweat. They love the focus and the composure of John Navarre here.
Navarre putting it on the ground to Chris Perry. Stuart Schweigert made the stop, and Parrish went on to say, hey, he coaches really hard Sunday through Wednesday, and then he throttles back, simplifies him, and let him play. And I thought it was also interesting that Parrish, talking about the way he coaches Navarre, he said, hey, I used to choreograph every step. I was rigid my first 15 years. Now in his 27th year coaching college football, he says, totally different now. Not it's my way or the highway. Let's things breathe a lot more. It's nice to hear a coach talk like that.
Certainly when you have a position as crucial as quarterback, you can't afford the luxury of having an automaton that can't make his own decisions.
And Perry, the ball carrier, and the ball dropper. It was a great run by Perry, but Purdue able to recover the fumble. Nico Kudavides, his second fumble recovery today, and the 4th turnover by Michigan.
Well, Perry had a head of steam and was in the hole and had the first down, runs over a tackler in the hole, and for some reason just loses the ball. That's Joe Odoms. He runs right over the top of. And I think that was Schweigert who tackles him and gets his hand in there and strips the ball for Kotovides to come up with it. I'm sorry, that was number 12. That was Rogers, I believe, Antoine Rogers, who's able to make the strip, and Kotovides comes up with the turnover.
So Purdue, a last gasp. They have all 3 timeouts left. They're trailing by 14, 3.5 to play in the fourth. And here's Hance. Plenty of time. And looks to take off. And he'll run towards the sideline. He's just shy of the first down marker. Hance has been much better today, or at least seems that way, passing the football than he was a week ago against Iowa. And they won the game last week, and it's unlikely they'll be as successful this week.
I would agree, and I think that with no disrespect to Iowa, I believe Michigan is a superior team, and even though Hance's numbers are not stupendous, I think he is producing. His fourth quarter production coming into this game, the number's not so scintillating today, but the development of this young man is going to take some time, and needless to say, he has promise.
Here's Hance. Again, all sorts of time now, feels the pressure. Offensive line has done a good job. Stanford went up and probably heard some footsteps. And the ball goes incomplete. Dan Rumashek had good pressure again for Michigan.
Again, a credit to the secondary of Michigan as we see the numbers for Brandon Hance here in the fourth quarter. The secondary for Michigan has been particularly tough as he is under 50% for the game, Steve.
Sean Lazarus, I believe, the right tackle for Michigan, is injured, down on the field. Junior from Canal Fulton, Ohio. And he gets applause.
Yeah, he gets a cheer as he rises from the turf.
Lazarus had a 23-yard return a week ago at Penn State after Rumashek had sacked and stripped Zach Mills of the ball. Lazarus picked it up, and boy, his teammates and the coaching staff were all over Lazarus. It took him about a day and a half to run 23 yards, not fleet of foot. He does an awful lot of other things well on the field. Hand off to Cedric Brown, I believe his first carry of the afternoon. We send it back to Brian Kenny.
Steve, we get back to NC State and Clemson. Philip Rivers with the answer here, although Woody Dantzler has made this pretty much out of reach, but maybe not yet. Philip Rivers to Brian Peterson, so now it's 42-29.
Hance, Stanford, lunging ahead for some extra yardage, and he's out across the 40 to the 41. The clock moves. They're shy of the first down marker.
See, with the exception of the ball that was just thrown over his head, since that drop in the second quarter, we haven't heard much from number 82, Stanford.
That snap, Hance able to recover, and that snap was not a low snap. That snap looked to be pretty good. I think Hance was looking the wrong way maybe by the time the ball was snapped.
Trying to make a decision before anything has happened downfield, and Murskowski might be getting a complex because, yes, he has had some bad snaps, but that wasn't one of them. You're right, Steve. Puts the leg up. There's supposed to be some hesitation after the leg comes up. I think that might have been a little early from Murskowski.
Murskowski, the center, making his 29th start today. That's the most of any player on that Purdue offense. So he's the experienced one. Hance is not. There's been tough goings in the exchange today between the center and the quarterback.
Murskowski is the only returning offensive lineman for Purdue, but he was at guard last year. Now he's at center. So everybody essentially is brand new on the O-line for the Boilermakers.
Revisit the way we started the afternoon. The standings atop the Big Ten. There you see Purdue, Michigan, along with Ohio State, the only undefeated teams in the conference. The Boilermakers came in the only undefeated team overall. Michigan had a heartbreaking loss at Washington for their lone loss there. The rest of the Big Ten, or others, receiving votes, as you might in the Big Ten. Both these teams, Purdue and Michigan, will be off next week. Purdue then will entertain Northwestern on the 27th of October, and Michigan will travel to Iowa for their next tests, respectively.
That'll be homecoming for Purdue in 2 weeks, as it is here today in Ann Arbor.
On 3rd down and 3, Hance completing, and I think short of the first down. On a 3rd and 3, Stubblefield turned before the marker, and Todd Howard was right there to greet him.
You're exactly right. He did not get enough for the first down.
I love when you say that.
As opposed to when I say he didn't get it?
No, you said exactly right. As opposed to what you say most often, you're totally wrong, Steve. So here's 4th and short now. Steve, what are you talking about? Here's an upset. Here's Hance under center. Hands off, and they should have the first down with Cedric Brown out to the 45-yard line.
Again, the inexperience showing on this offense. They weren't quite sure not only of the formation of the people that were supposed to be on the field, and with 2:20 remaining in the 4th quarter at Michigan, that doesn't seem to make much sense.
Now to wind the clock. Hance going to be brought down, taken down by Norman Hoyer. His 2nd sack of the season.
But again, we've talked ad nauseum throughout the broadcast about the difficulties of the offensive line for Purdue. They were an absolute stronghold last year. This year they have struggled. Michigan comes with the blitz from the outside. Hobson forces him, and as a result, Hoyer is able to get the sack. Hoyer's a great story. This is a young man whose nickname was Bobo. Why? Well, his name was Bobert. It was Norman Bobert, but his grandfather died last year, and paying homage to the man who raised him, he changed his surname to Hoyer. And again, we take a look at the offensive line starters for Purdue and Michigan. Michigan, too, their offensive line struggled early on, but give them credit. They came of age, so to speak, there in the 3rd quarter and early in the 4th as they put together two 15-play drives. So that certainly bodes well for the future of the Wolverines up front.
Some of the snaps, the exchanges between the center and the quarterback, and some of the problems we documented earlier. Much more difficult when you're out of the shotgun, I would think, for 90–95% of the plays.
It is for a center. That takes pressure because not only do you have to make the snap, and then you have to get your head up and block somebody.
Koskowski, one of the team captains, is voted by his teammates for Purdue. That's not the negative yardage, it's negative yardage plays. That's a big difference with Purdue with 9 of them. That is one of their #1 concerns for the Boilermakers. Shanty or the sack on Brandon Hance. That's Michigan's 6th sack of the afternoon.
And Jim Chaney, offensive coordinator for Purdue, had told us right up front that one of the things that we had to avoid were the negative yardage plays. Now that's the 10th one of the day for Michigan, and you can see the reaction of Jim Chaney there to the right, not very happy with the way his group has performed.
Told you the Boilermakers, the last time they opened 5-0 was 1945. It looks like they're going to drop down to 4-1. College Game Day scoreboard show is coming up next on ESPN. And we will join you over on ESPN News. Todd will have his fine analysis. We'll get some reaction down on the field. Dave Ryan will have a guest or two. And I'll probably just introduce Todd, Dave, and that'll be my extent of it. Look at some of the homecoming festivities here in Ann Arbor. 110,000 plus on hand for this one. 3rd and 22. Purdue cannot stop the clock again. It's or again.
It appeared that Lazarus was in on it as well, and that's good news because remember, Lazarus had to be helped off the field. Michigan has been relentless today, and Jim Herman, defensive coordinator, has to be very happy with what he's seen. And again, they're only rushing 4. There's Orr, who beats the left tackle from the backside, and again, Hance has been having to run for his life here in the 4th quarter.
Michigan has 25 sacks now this season. You pointed out they had 21 all of last year, but now you think the all-time school record might be in jeopardy of falling. Michigan had 43 sacks back in '95. Again, 7 today.
And this is interesting to me because Purdue did not have enough people on the field. You see the reaction of Travis Dorsch, the punter, as he wags his head and puts his hands on his hips. Joe Tiller over the off week is going to be chewing some people out because there have been far too many mental errors in addition to the physical ones that have transpired today.
15 penalties. Penalty can be a mental error as well as a physical error.
Certainly in that case when you have enough people on the field for the punt.
Dorsch should punt it away. And Marquise Walker, why absorb another hit? Good idea. Let's go.
Well, this is going to help his punting average.
Be down at the 8-yard line. And that's where Michigan will take over.
68-yard punt for Dorsch. Kurt Anderson is our unsung hero today, and I say that because the offensive line for Michigan has taken a little abuse in the press because they haven't been able to measure up to the one from last year, and why should they? They had 4 of the 5 starters last year who are in the NFL, 2 of them first-round picks. Anderson is at the fulcrum point for the offensive line at the center position. Younger brother of Eric Anderson, who back in 1991 was the Butkus Award winner for the Wolverines.
And a team captain as well here at Michigan. 41 seconds left. And the VAR will take a knee. The best play in college football.
You know, Michigan impresses me. I had seen them on defense, and of course you say shutting out Penn State, they're in a down year, but what they did to Purdue's offense today is particularly impressive. And if Marquise Walker continues to do what he's doing and the VAR matures, this team obviously has to be a favorite in the Big Ten race.
Michigan had held 3 straight opponents to less than 25 yards rushing. Today, they hold Purdue to just 57 yards rushing as the final seconds tick off.
But having said that, Steve, it was 37 carries for 57 yards. That's less than 2 yards per carry. I'm sure they'll take that.
So number 12, Michigan, a winner over 16th ranked Purdue, 24-10. Todd and I will see you over on ESPN News shortly. That wraps it up from Ann Arbor. Homecoming, a happy one for the alumni of Michigan. Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan, this is Steve Levy. Thanks for watching, everybody. We send you back to the College Game Day Scoreboard Show. Spend the next few moments, scores and highlights, with Brian Kenny and Rodney Gilmore. Guys, take it away. Michigan, a winner today.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Yes, Rodney Gilmore here with me. Once again, Purdue hasn't won in Ann Arbor since Bob Greasy was the quarterback. We'll talk about this. Miami, how they put it to Florida State. Chris Sims, a little redemption this afternoon after a rough start. And Woody Dantzler with a record-setting afternoon. Rodney and I coming back. Full highlights and analysis right after this. Last loss at home for Florida State, 1991. Last time they didn't win at home, 1994. Last loss was to Miami. Last tie was to Florida. Today, it's not even close. Let's get you up to date first on some of the games, just around, give you an idea. The broad overview there, Rodney, because Nebraska is underway against Baylor with a 2-touchdown lead. Northwestern leading Minnesota right now in the pouring rain in the 4th quarter. Texas big over Oklahoma State. We've got highlights of all these games, but starting things off, you got Miami. Look at that score in the upper left-hand corner. Miami and Florida State putting a whooping on the boys. Whoa. The Chief is out early. What did they carved a little Miami in the middle of the Chief? Yeah, how about that? Well, they do whatever they want. Here, look out! Ed Reed with the block. Marquise Fitzgerald picks it up, an early touchdown for Miami. It's 7-0. Later, Ken Dorsey going back in the air. Andre Johnson, touchdown. It's 14-0. They're blocking the kicks. They're having interceptions. Greg Jones, 16 carries, 93 yards in the first half. He scores, so that makes it 21-6. And then right before the half, William McRae going in, punches it through, so it's 21-13 at the half. But then the answer right away. Andre Johnson here from Dorsey, a long, early run and a long possession.
What's that, trickeration?
I don't think that is. Was it? Freddie Capshaw pulled that back in the holder. Looked like a botched kick.
Absolutely. He missed this, couldn't get it down, but presence of mind. You always call fire. He looked to throw it right away, didn't see it, and then just took off. And Shockey gives him a great block at the end, make sure he gets in safely.
It's all working for Miami. 42-20 at the time. It's 49-20 right now. Ken Dorsey with over 200 yards in the air. Chris Ricks, he was trying to run the ball more than he was trying to throw the ball. It's just a disaster for the Seminoles.
Yeah, they found a little bit of a running game, Florida State, but no points, lots of turnovers, and Ken Dorsey just not touched, hit one time with a late hit, and that was about it.
Once again, 54-game unbeaten streak about to go out. That's at home, of course. Oregon will have the new home winning streak. But more on this later on. Let's get to Northwestern now. Talk about the driving rain. Minnesota and Northwestern here. Opening drive for Minnesota picked off. Assad Abdul-Khalik intercepted by Marvin Brown. Sam Simmons would take over from there. No score here on a 2nd and 10. Zach Kustok to Simmons on the sideline. First down and lowered the shoulder. Set up a Damian Anderson touchdown run. Then later in the first, 7-3. Simmons, the cutback this time. Beautifully done. 29 yards. He's in for the touchdown. Be 13-3 Northwestern. Later, it's 13-10 Northwestern. Simmons fields the punt, and away he goes.
Oh, this has been missing from the Northwestern offense. The big play guy, Simmons with a bad hand, broke a finger a couple weeks ago, and the offense was stalling, but he showed up big time today.
This is a Northwestern team that was just beaten up by the Buckeyes last week. And here, Simmons the reverse. Coming back, this has got to feel good against Minnesota. Simmons, a nice big gain there, set up a field goal. Northwestern was able to take a 23-10 lead pretty much after that play. Right now, it's 23-17, and you're looking there, it's real time in the final seconds of that game.
Yeah, Northwestern just running out the clock. They're standing around. The ball game is essentially over. A good showing. Simmons is so important to that offense. They were missing the big play. He brought it back to them. That bodes well for Northwestern.
We'll keep you up to date on this, but again, just about over. 23-17 Northwestern. And it's a final. Yes, we waited long enough. There we go. Updated as we speak. It's all over. 23-17 the final. All right, Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas trying to bounce back from the loss to the Sooners. And look at that catch. Rashawn Woods from Aso Pogai. It's a 12-play, 65-yard drive. Cowboys just marched. Other way, Chris Sims in the air. A tie ball game and into the end zone. Brock Edwards, 17-10, Texas. Texas looking for a score here in the last minute of the half. They get it. Roy Williams, quick 5-yarder there. Oklahoma State, though, would botch the kickoff. They'd get it back. Sims to Williams again. Now, there's the killer. They've done that before.
Well, they did, and they hooked up a number of times, and Chris Sims had a nice job today. Here he finds another guy, Edwards, for a 27-yard touchdown pass in the end zone. But this guy, Sims, came on late in the second half after the running game got going behind Cedric Benson. Sims bouncing back after last week.
The prototype, 45-17. Chris Sims, by the way, with 5 touchdown passes. That ties a school record, so now comfortably ahead of the Cowboys in the fourth quarter. Let's go to Syracuse, Pittsburgh now. Go to the Big East in the first quarter. David Priestley from the shotgun looking for Antonio Bryant. Antonio Bryant, look at that.
Where's he been?
Hurt early, now he's back. A dangerous man, gets it to the 1. Pittsburgh would score on the next play, take a 7-0 lead. Syracuse trying to come back here. R.J. Anderson, the option. James Mungro is there. Mungro, 56 yards. Syracuse taking a 14-10 lead. Ensuing possession for Pittsburgh. Got a 3rd and 5 from their 25. Priestley scrambling, picked off. Will Hunter. Will Hunter staying in, threading it.
6 action there.
All the way back in. Syracuse taking a 21-10 lead. Syracuse looking for its 11th straight win against Pittsburgh. They're comfortably ahead.
Yeah, Troy Nunes was knocked out of the ball game in the first quarter, came back in the second quarter after the offense was stalling. He did a nice job after that. The defense stepping up for Syracuse as well.
To the ACC, Clemson and North Carolina State. Woody Dantzler having one of the best days that we've seen all season. Sensational running and passing. Of course, after a week off at Georgia Tech in his last game, and he was sensational there. Here, unbelievable. 55 yards, cutting back here. Dantzler would become the first ACC player in history to go over 4,000 and 2,000. That's throwing for 4,000 and rushing for 2,000. First ever to do so. In the third quarter, it's 21-17. Dantzler fakes and throws. Travis Zachary, touchdown, 28-17. Nice touch.
Well, that's the kind of performance from Woody Dantzler that has gotten him into the Heisman race and what everybody expected at the beginning of the season. Watch him here as he makes so many guys miss on his way to another tremendous run. Dantzler getting himself firmly back into the Heisman race, Brian, as a tremendous player. This race is now becoming very interesting.
Chuck Amato was asked if he was going to use a defensive spy to stop Woody Dantzler, and he laughed and said, who's going to spy? Deion Sanders? You know, who am I going to get to spy on this guy and stop him? 45-29. The numbers for Dantzler are tremendous. At one point, he was 21 for 25 passing. It was so accurate, 228 yards in the air. He had 164 yards on the ground. Here are the career numbers. I mean, this guy is a running back who throws and a quarterback who can run.
Well, exactly. And he's at his best when he can get you going, thinking about the running, and then he can throw the football. But Dantzler today was just fantastic. It's the kind of performance that's been missing from Clemson. It's the thing that gives them an opportunity to get back in that ACC and perhaps win it when he's performing like he has today.
Of course, if you're just joining us now, Florida State, that winning streak is going to be over. Unbeaten streak and home winning streak as well. At this point, we're looking at them now twice this year where they're giving up 40 points or more. I mean, they're getting whooped.
Yeah, they really are.
At what point? I mean, this is the end of an era now for Florida State. This is the marking of, okay, this is where it stopped and it's going to begin again.
Well, I think you have to ask that question. It's a fair question. Is it over? Is the empire crumbling at Florida State? Well, you know, Mark Richt left last year to go to Georgia to become the head coach there. Bobby Bowden is, in his 70s. Is he going to coach much longer? They've had more injuries than ever before, and they didn't have the depth to handle it. So is this just a bad year for Florida State, or is it over? Right now, it's looking like it's over. They've given up so many points defensively. They're not the same kind of team we're used to seing.
Well, no, you said here at one point, and I said, how much can they absorb with all the depth that they have? And you said that nobody can absorb all the injuries that they've had.
Terrible.
Indeed, they were not. We'll have more on this game. We'll have much more as well on the rest of the day in college football. Take a look at Michigan, Alabama, and Ole Miss as well. We'll be back.
College Game Day Scoreboard is presented by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
Brian Kenny, Rodney Gilmore back here with you. I like what Lloyd Carr had to say. He said, back in the old days, your athletic director got you homecoming. You know, you bring in the Patsy. There's nobody like that anymore. Can't get away with that sort of thing, even in the Big Ten in the conference game. So Purdue and Michigan, a 4-0 Boilermaker team going in to Ann Arbor. Here, Brandon Hance fumbles a stat, but Tim Stratton in for the touchdown. Purdue takes a 7-0 lead. Then second quarter, John Navarre, B.J. Askew, he would be in for the touchdown. They give it to him. It'd be a tie ball game, 7-7. Navarre to Marquise Walker. This guy's just sensational.
Yeah, he bounced back from an early problem, fumbled the ball, which led Purdue back in the ball game, but then he just took over and had a great ball game.
In the third quarter, Hance to Stratton. I mean, he can improvise. But he fumbles the ball. Michigan would get it back in a tight ball game there. It's a 14-10 ball game. That was on a 3rd and 19. Same drive now. Michigan gets it, and they're going to punish him. Askew goes in, another touchdown, and 24-10 is the final. Purdue, once again, hasn't won at Ann Arbor since 1966. They hadn't had a 5-0 start since 1945. They don't have one here, and Marquise Walker, a big part of that. Dave Ryan caught up with him after the game.
All right, thanks very much, Marquise Walker. And Michigan, big win today over Purdue. It looks like the Boilermakers no longer undefeated. You guys were able to really dominate the clock in the second half. Time of possession was so crucial. How'd you do that? Was it the line of scrimmage crucial for you?
Actually, I think it was defense getting the ball back. You know, we came out there, we went 3 and out, and the defense got the ball back. And our job, run out the time, because we was up. So that's what we did.
You had a great touchdown catch in the first half. Tell me about that play. It looked like you looked for the ball at the last second. There it was, a perfect throw from John Navarre.
Yeah, I think it was a perfect throw by John, but if the line didn't hold up like they did on that play, we wouldn't have gotten in the end zone. And like I said, at the last second, I just, looked it in, touchdown.
Great job. Congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
There's Marquise Walker in Michigan. Big win today over Purdue.
Dave, thank you. More in the Big Ten now. Iowa and Michigan State. Another one of these tremendous performances here. It's Herb Haygood here from Jeff Smoker. Haygood stays on his feet. Going to the 1-yard line. It led to a touchdown plunge from T.J. Duckett. 7-0 Michigan State. Second quarter now. It's 14-7. Smoker to Haygood. Made this happen, Rodney.
No, Haygood was really good, picking off a lot of passes deep, going up over guys, and Charlie Rogers was good just as well. Michigan State tough, but Haygood was the man today.
Yeah, Iowa just scored to make it 21-14, but here comes Haygood. Oh, no! All the way back. Second kickoff return for a touchdown in back-to-back games. Did it against Northwestern. Does it here. 100 yards. 28-14 at the time. Michigan State held them off 31-28.
And Michigan State offense looking good behind T.J. Duckett running the ball and Rogers and Haygood on the outside. They're pretty potent.
Also in the Big Ten, Illinois and Indiana. The Illini have won 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two schools, so 7-6 right now. They're in the third quarter there. Antoine Randall already over 100 total yards. So we've seen in the Big Ten now, of course, Ohio State made its statement last week against Northwestern. They're just underway against Wisconsin. And yet you see Michigan, who I said, if you watch that game against Washington, really outplayed them, should have had that game. Things didn't break their way. You got some powers now rising to the top of the Big Ten.
Well, they are starting to rise to the top. You're starting to see a little bit of separation, but I don't think you're seeing a dominant team in the Big Ten just yet. Michigan played well, but they were sloppy at times. They don't look like they're ready to dominate. Michigan State looks dangerous. Their offense is getting in high gear, and Northwestern is still in the hunt there. I think you're going to wind up seeing a team or two get nicked in the Big Ten. So this thing is not over. There are about 2 or 3 teams hanging around the top that are going to be tough.
We've seen Michigan already today here on ESPN. We're going to see Auburn and Florida later on here, 7:45 Eastern start. I want to take a look at the SEC now. And Auburn, the last of the unbeaten teams in the SEC West, 3-0. But again, they got Florida tonight. I don't know. You want to pencil in a 1 there.
Yeah, put a loss down there.
Auburn fans are going to say, what do you can't do that. But if they do get that loss, now you got Alabama, Ole Miss right back in it. But Alabama and Ole Miss are playing each other today.
Yeah, if you play what if, okay, let's assume Auburn were to win. If they were to win their ball game, they'd have an easy road in the West. But that's not going to happen. And it's going to come down to Bama and maybe Ole Miss. But LSU still lurking with 2 losses.
So what would happen today? Alabama and Ole Miss head-to-head. Archie Manning would beat the Crimson Tide way back when. What about Eli Manning? Here on the side first, Tyler Watts. Sam Collins, 58 yards by himself. 14-14. It's all tied up in the second quarter. Go to the second half now. Watts, once again, Watts had himself a pretty good day. Over 100 yards rushing. This time picking up 19 yards here on the run. Same drive. Watts, again, this time on the option, got rid of it. Perfect timing. Antonio Beard here for a gain of 33 yards. Keep it going on this drive. Watts, once again, bought himself a little bit of time, rolled out into the end zone. Chundus Luke. And it's 24-14. Ole Miss, though, not done. Charles Stackhouse bulldozing it. Anybody in front of him would have went down. He goes through. In for the score, so it's not done yet. Less than 2 minutes to go. 24-20. Alabama with the lead. Alabama has won all 4 of the previous meetings in Oxford.
Keep in mind, Alabama blew a late lead against South Carolina just not too long ago, so they've got to try and find a way to hang on here against Ole Miss.
And Mississippi State taking on Troy State. You know what Troy State's doing? They're getting paid! $1.3 million for Troy State for 6 road games. Not for this one team, but the Road Warriors at it once again. I mean, they played Nebraska and Miami already. And now Mississippi State to them, you know what? It's no big deal. 7-0. They have the lead in the first quarter. We'll keep you up to date on that. If you watch us every week, I know I do that every week. And here we've got Florida and Auburn coming up again. The Gators mighty once again. Mississippi State and LSU, 2 pretty good football teams that have looked good, except when they played Florida and got hammered by Spurrier and the Gators. That's coming up later here on ESPN. Adrian Karsten sets the scene.
The Gators have come to the Plains with one thought in mind, to prove that they are the clear-cut #1 team in the nation. And for the first time in a long time, they come with a clear-cut #1 quarterback. Rex Grossman leads a team that leads the nation in total offense. Now, in conversation with Steve Spurrier, it seems that he has more confidence in the quarterback than he's had since Danny Werfel won the Heisman Trophy back in 1996. He says, if you're going to win the national championship, you've got to win big on the road. It seems that both coach and quarterback are in the groove.
I think there is such a thing as in the zone. You just feel supremely confident. If you feel you can do no wrong, then you probably will do no wrong. And you know, just as long as you can make your reads and everything right, then as a quarterback, confidence is the biggest thing to help you play better.
Rex was making some good choices, good decisions. A lot of times you'll have a good play on, but maybe the quarterback's looking somewhere else or this, that, and the other. And the other day, Rex seemed to be looking in the right area and seeing the defense and pitching to the right guy.
Now, Auburn has not beaten Florida since 1994. To a man, you talk to the Tiger players and they say that playing well just isn't going to be good enough. They're going to have to take advantage of any Florida mistake. They will also take the help of 82,000 loyal fans. We'll see you tonight.
Adrian, thank you very much. Again, we have the superpowers rising here where Miami's so impressive. Oklahoma back-to-back weeks, the previous 2 weeks, and the Gators have just annihilated very good football teams.
Oh, yeah. You know, everybody talks about Danny Werfel in 1996 and how Rex Grossman is like him when they won that championship the Florida Gators did in 96. Well, it's the receivers you need to pay attention to. They have 3 great ones this season like they had back in 96. Gaffney, Caldwell, and Jacobs. Watch these guys tonight because they make it tough on a defense. You just let you spread it out and you can't defend those 3.
Meantime, we're still watching. Eli Manning has the football and trying to drive on Alabama, down by just 4 in the final minute and a half of play. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Coming up later tonight, again, Auburn and Florida right here on ESPN, 7:45 Eastern Time. Rodney and I will be here at 7 Eastern, get you up to speed on that. We'll be back, talk coaches when we come back. College Game Day Scoreboard Show. Brian Kenny, Rodney Gilmore. Again, let's get you up to date on some of the games going on right now in the final 3 minutes of play. Miami way up on Florida State. Still, it's 49-27. Baylor has made it a 1-touchdown game. Oregon underway with Cal. Now, Oregon on the road, so the longest home winning streak in the nation. But on the road today, BYU with the lead, and the big one, Washington, UCLA underway.
Yeah, that's going to be a good ball game. Just getting started down there.
Of course, even with all the heightened security around the nation, there is football at Michie Stadium this afternoon. East Carolina against Army, and here, early fumble, ball knocked loose for East Carolina. It's Travis Heath, and going back 81 yards for the score. Army has lost the football a lot this season, coming off their first win of the year, though. Ties the ball game up 7 apiece. Second quarter, 10-7 Army with the lead. Army kicking off. Marvin Towns brings this down at the 7, which you need to do the math because he's bringing it back as it would turn out 93 yards.
Well, all day we've watched games and we've seen lots of problems in the kicking game today. This is just another example of it, about the 3rd or 4th return for a touchdown we've seen today, Brian.
East Carolina has won all 4 previous meetings with Army, and it is over now, 49-26, so that's 5 straight for East Carolina. Air Force making the decision to have no night games, so they're playing in the afternoon. Air Force taking on Wyoming right now, tied up 7-7. Air Force has won 5 of the last 7 in this series. That's in the second quarter. And the Naval Academy losing to Rice 21-13. Brian Madden 10 for 16 for over 200 yards in the air, but Rice does get the win. Again, 21-13. Well, BYU with a new head coach, Lavelle Edwards, is gone, retiring after many years. Gary Croton has taken over, and he has yet to lose. 5-0, averaging 51 points per game. BYU taking on New Mexico, and BYU has won 9 of 10 in this series. That's in New Mexico. Right now have a 3-0 lead. Last ranked team the Lobos beat was BYU, and that was back just 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. BYU certainly having the right kind of situation for them this year, buying into what Croton is teaching. But look at the difference here when you see their offensive rankings from last year. They improved from 73rd to 1st. They're putting a lot of points up. The total yards, they're 2nd in the country. The turnovers, they've gotten much better. At the bottom of the pack last year, they've turned things around quickly. Part of the reason for that, though, the schedule's been pretty good to them.
Yeah, the schedule has been good and will get better, but the new coaches that we've seen, Rodney, and we've seen a lot of success here. Of course, you can start at Miami, but all the way to BYU and all around the country.
Yeah, you start with Croton. He's done a nice job getting things changed for him. The schedule has been good to him. You think about Croker at Miami, tough situation, pressure on him to win a national title. They've been stepping up. And you can't forget about Maryland and Ralph Friedgen, 6-0, bowl eligible, and a chance to win the ACC. Very good job.
Of course, John Bunting, of course, had the big splash. Now, beating Florida State when it meant something,
yeah.
It still means something, and he did get that win.
Well, you have to look at what he's done. It's even more than just beating Florida State. They started 0-3 against tough teams. He's got them back to 3-3, and they had a quarterback controversy as well. He's held that team together, and North Carolina is still alive in the ACC.
In the ACC, take a look here, the Tar Heel turnaround. It's a good point because they went into Florida State. That's the time when you say, man, it's going south. Kind of a Lou Holtz sort of open. He had it for a full season where you say we got to bounce back. Look at the last 3 games, though. Points per game allowed. Only 13 points per game allowed for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, he's really changed things. It's really something. But, there's always a change, too.
All right, so we'll talk about the good things here on College Game Day. Who are the coaches that are having some problems here that you can see right away? This is not working out?
I think it's pretty clear. There are a couple that are having some trouble. You start looking out west, and then on the east, Pete Carroll at USC, 1-4. And then West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez, a tough time. They're not winning. The tough thing there is that Don Nehlen, the former coach, came out and said publicly, hey, the cupboard wasn't bare. There's some pretty good players there. They should be playing better than they are. That's indicting the new coach. That's a real tough thing, but a real tough deal with Pete Carroll. You look at what he's done with his players. The worst thing a coach can do is give up on his players. Pete Carroll came out and said, I got the guys I got. Right now, that's not good enough, implying that his players aren't good enough for him to win with, sort of blaming them for their inability to win. And you never do that as a coach. This is not the NFL. You can't put them on waiver. You can't trade them. You're stuck with them. They're your guys, so you better like them. If USC falls apart, you can probably look back to this statement as being part of the reason.
But you look at something, maybe you say with your assistants, hey, the cupboard's bare, but you can't say that.
You can't say it publicly.
Right.
The players read the papers, too.
They're out there playing. Meantime, we talk about coaches struggling here. Of course, Bob Davies struggling, Rich Rodriguez struggling, West Virginia and Notre Dame going head-to-head. So something's got to give. And we had some scoring early. Julius Jones, 19 yards out, in for the touchdown. Notre Dame off its first win of the year, now taking a 7-0 lead. Next drive, though, Evan Coburn will get the football. No Cooper Rigo for West Virginia. Again, expelled by Notre Dame, banned from campus after the rape allegation from years ago. Threatened to a trespassing arrest on Rigo. So Coburn is there, but Coburn goes in 60 yards for the score. Notre Dame now has a 17-10 lead in the second quarter.
Well, keep in mind, Notre Dame has struggled offensively. They can't get into a shootout in this ball game. Their defense has got to put a clamp on West Virginia, or Notre Dame will fall in this ball game too.
Coming up here on ESPN, top of the hour, Grade 1 stakes race, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes from Keeneland, the road to the World Thoroughbred Championship. That's coming up. It's a few moments away. Rodney and I coming back. More football after this. As promised, Brian Kenny, Rod Gilmore back here with you. And Ole Miss and Alabama. We said Eli Manning had the ball down 4 and was driving in the final minutes of play. Here we go. Improv there towards Samford and rumbling to the 3-yard line. From there, Manning still with plenty of time on the clock. Final minute of play. There's Joe Gunn out there. Oh, bulldozer job.
Alabama once again falling late when they had a lead. Again, they had a 3rd and 1, an opportunity to run out the clock. They couldn't get it done. Ole Miss comes back. We got to put Dennis Franchione on that list of poor coaching. First year. It's the second time they've blown a game late.
So now just an interception by Ole Miss. Alabama was pretty much pinned down within their own 10-yard line, trying to drive out, but an interception for Ole Miss. So Ole Miss will most assuredly get this win now, 27-24. Other games around the country. Marshall, first loss in its opening week, but that was against Florida. The Mighty Gators here taking on Buffalo. MAC game. Byron Leftwich there to Josh Davis, 19-yard touchdown. Look out, 7-0 Marshall. Leftwich on the draw by himself, got banged there. 6-yard touchdown, though, 14-0. Thunder and Hurt. In the second quarter, look closer there, Jeff Edwards getting hit by Jason Coley. Seemed to get jammed, grabbed his head as he would fall. He would have to be taken off the field on a stretcher. Marshall teammates getting together. We'll get more information on this. That is neck restrained. He'll be taken to the ambulance, by the ambulance to the hospital. He has movements in his hands and legs when taken to the hospital. A precautionary measure. Don't want to diminish it. Don't know precisely what it is just yet, but he was taken off and off to the hospital. 31-7 right now. Marshall does have the lead on Buffalo. Games that are underway. This is one of the biggest games of the day. Washington and UCLA. Look at Deshaun Foster. Boston through people. This, again, one of the big games of the day. This would be the year the Pac-10 we thought would be settled in Oregon. Now you've got the two traditional superpowers settling it, and that running game is tremendous for UCLA.
Well, nobody finishes runs like Deshaun Foster. Watch the way he delivers the blow with the arm and the shoulders as you watch him all day long.
A new defense for UCLA. Washington has won 12 in a row. Colorado now with the lead on Texas A&M, and will this be the return to dominance after what they did last week?
Could very well be. Their defense is really tough. Texas A&M struggling on offense.
South Carolina off to its best start since 1988. No score right now against South Carolina there in the first quarter. In the Big Ten, Wisconsin and Ohio State. Keep your eye on the Buckeyes now. 3-0 on Wisconsin. Wisconsin coming off a terrible loss last week. Oregon adding to its lead. They've got a 13-0 lead right now on Cal. Oregon off to its best start in 37 years. They've won 5 straight in this series. A lot to be settled in the Pac-10. Meantime, you've got Washington State rising up, just kind of lurking there, taking on Stanford. Now we're going to see what the Cougars are all about.
Well, the Cougars are really going to have to get it done with the quarterback position because Dave Minnick, their fine running back, is out today. But they've got a pretty good quarterback. Jason Gesser's done a nice job with him, and he compares very favorably to some stars who used to be there. Ryan Leaf had a 5-0 start. Drew Bledsoe, 5-0 start. Look at the touchdowns to interceptions ratio. He is right on par with those guys. And the thing that he has going for him, he has big, tall receivers where he can hang the ball up there, and they go out there and they jump and they pull it down. Look for Gesser to go more to the passing game with Minnick out and to put the ball up for those wideouts today.
See, Washington State, now maybe they're playing some fringe teams, but I mean dominant. Oregon State, Arizona, and Cal, I mean, they don't have a win yet, but some tough teams. They're dominant so far.
It's going to be a tough game for them. Stanford is a much better football team than I think the country realizes right now.
And it is a final. Ole Miss and Alabama, and Eli Manning has beaten the Crimson Tide with that late run, late stretch. Again, Ole Miss with only one win in between Archie Manning and Eli Manning. We'll take a break. We'll have more on this when we come back.
College Game Day Scoreboard is presented by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
First home loss since 1991, 49-27 the final. Hey, even the Yankees are on the ropes, Rod, so it happens. Seminoles lose.
Well, maybe the end of the national dominance and the end of the empire in that sense, but Florida State can still win the ACC, so don't count them out there just yet.
We'll have more football coming your way. 7 Eastern time, Auburn and Florida. We'll talk about Woody Dantzler on that program as well. Right now, Thoroughbred Racing right here on ESPN. We'll see you at 7 Eastern.